is up, y'all, and welcome to tonight's episode of Call Us Skeptical. Evolution is a fact? Dun, dun, dun. James, this is going to surprise no one in biology, but that's okay. Gotta hit those classics where we're opening up the internet phone lines to ask the question, why evolution is a fact. So won't you join James W. and myself, Amy Newman, for a good time worth evolving into? What is up, y'all? Sending love out into the interwebs. I was going to say, I just had Moonlight just went out from my chair, and our producer Gizmo is here to say hi. And he always looks happy when he's on screen. Happy or sleepy. Sometimes sleepy, but that's allowed. But he looks very happy right now. And he is a good boy. And he's giving the world blinky kisses. I don't know. And we are.
You can't move your ears like he can.
That is very true.
In all directions to pinpoint where that mouse is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I also saw a paper that was published. It was pertaining to dogs, but I assume it's the same for cats and other species, that when they tilt their head, they are actually trying to process data, just like we are when we tilt our head.
I don't know if everybody, maybe people have been sleeping under a rock. They don't know that we have a debate coming up, don't we, Amy?
That's right, we do. With the doctor, master, theologian, trying to think what other he has his DBA, he has his DRA, his just all
the Federal
of them.
Bureau, his Bureau of Prisons ID number.
Yes, well, also K3786542 wants to say hi.
He's got more IRS liens against him than I don't know. It's like he's got a lot of them.
James, you don't need to pay those taxes. He's a sovereign citizen. Gotta understand.
I pay every tax.
Everything.
Atheist Jr. nailed him on that because he's like, he thinks income tax is bullshit. So, and Social Security tax, that's bullshit too. So he doesn't think he owes them. I pay every tax I owe. But I'm just tired of paying taxes for your religion.
That's right.
Taught in the schools. Like, but
James,
you don't pay taxes. What are you talking? He's like, schools are funded by property tax, and but Kent, you're a 501c3 now. You don't pay property tax either. Well, I mean, there's lots of 501c3s. What's wrong with being a 501c? Okay, Kent, but you can't say you pay property tax.
Yeah, the amount of charity work I can imagine that Kent Hoven does.
Oh, it's a charitable organization. I'll tell you.
Yeah, that's right. Out of this world.
Basically, it's like, how can I retire for free without having to pay property taxes? I can build my retirement home.
Well, if you had to think up a scam, you would want your scam to be tax-free, right?
Right.
Gotta get all that money.
L. Ron Hubbard style. But and I think it's safe also to let everybody know that probably the biggest news, maybe even bigger than the Ken Hoven debate, is that the after show for that debate, I have had confirmation from the Atheist Jr. that he will be hosting us for an after show on his channel. You guys all know Atheist Jr. 8,000 subscribers, Great guy, great content.
So
Everybody
can
knows
I talk
about
about
JJ.
something? I don't mean to take another pot shot at Ken Hovind. Well, I kind of do. But what I find interesting is he's staying with the open mics. So we're going to do. I was gonna bring this up with James, but I beforehand. But I thought I'd bring it up. It is interesting how like Kent doesn't have a platform anymore, and so like half the debate is going to be like us doing our debate, and the other half of the debate is going to be open mic, which I like. I like open mics, but I feel like that's James. You and we're used to being in down and dirty where we should be. But how far has the mighty fallen? That I guess he's got a lot of time on his hands now.
I think it's also. I mean, from a business standpoint, it's a way for SFT to cash in on those watch hours and views for the after show too. He does both. He can have a debate, and then you don't have to go to. Well, are there any really other main Christian channels? There aren't really many Christian channels in the debate community anymore that would host an after show. So he just does that himself. So there you go. Yeah.
I was just seeing Jill on Knox channel, but we don't have to worry about Jill coming on this channel because I have tatas, and so as long as that's present,
you wouldn't admit you're a woman, but you're just feminine enough for him not to want to talk to you.
Exactly.
Just to
I don't exactly. Should I take it as an insult or a compliment that he won't come on here to debate with us?
Yeah. He's respecting your
my pronouns. That's right, James.
Yeah. Respect my pronouns.
Speaking of which, I have part 1. I think I'm going to do a part 2 next week, and I'm going to release part 1 and part 2 of Bud Light.
Your
I went back up, yes, and I went back because now I'm back in the ring, baby. Woo! And I like actually having a place that I can kind of a little bit call home, and then I want to start going out to other nights so that I can like refine, because I'm releasing a lot of the raw things that I'm just going up there and tried for my raw baby for the first time, but I feel awkward going up the next week and doing it, and so maybe having multiple, but it's going to be part 1 and part 2. It's going to be different content, but I'm going to put it together and make a 10-minute shtick. And what is up, Stephanie? And speaking of which, please don't forget to like if you are on the YouTubes, follow if you are on the Twitches, or subscribe by hitting that subscribe button, because then you get access to that bell icon that, when set to all, allows you to see our premieres like the comedy stand-ups I've been doing, or our lives like our live chat. What is up, everybody? What is up? What is up, Pat? Even the slavery trolls. I know. The only group that still defends slavery, religion. Well, besides the BDSM community, but that's hot and consenting adults. But the only people that are like, listen, the slavery in olden times, where they were like taking a sword to people's throats and being like, hey, please, can I like have your children and your wife and your house?
Well, I mean,
biblical.
You can consent to be my slave, or I can kill you. That makes it consensual, Amy. So you said you're all about consent, right? The BDSM community, it's the same thing, right?
Exactly.
If you look at it from the Christian standpoint, the Islamic slavers said the same thing. It's their choice. We give them. They can die if they don't want to be a slave, and that's a free and fair, valid choice.
Exactly, James. On one hand, you have consenting adults having a lot of fun. On the other hand, you have a gun or a sword to your head. I feel like kind of like the same thing.
Amy, is it really much worse than what we do, having our iPhones and Galaxies built in China? It's kind of the same thing at the end of the day.
And I'll tell you, it is a valid point to bring up that there are still crappy systems within the world now. However, it doesn't make two bad things doesn't make the first thing bad. Two wrongs don't make a right.
Yeah,
just to go a little bit classic.
The the fact that our current system is in some ways comparable to it doesn't make it any better.
Well, I saw an Onion video that was like from a decade ago that it was like, kids decide to create their own kids line, and the joke of the video is because it's child labor. Get it? But I that's not really comparable.
Not an invalid point.
So yeah, and that's her. So send love to.
Say hi out there to Maya. I think she just hit 200 subscribers. My accent.
Really?
So,
yeah. Go see Maya Atkinson's channel. Woo! We now need to get her to 1,000. If you don't know what her name is, you should see it on screen now. Boom, boom, boom. Go check out her channel.
It's a slog, I'll tell you. It never got easy for us the whole way up.
Indeed. It does feel like you earn every subscriber, but we do appreciate our community here at the Skeptic and Ranting community. And sending love, speaking of which, to Carrie-Ann Chrysler and Pragmatic Crystal and Rachel Holen and You Are Victoria and I See Him Norfolk and everybody out there, Native Atheist, Stephanie Helms, look at the trees. Come on, just look at them. James, it's such an amazing argument. I'm going to cough.
I mean, you can't deny the trees.
They're just so amazing to look at.
So
Free
Woody
Rebel,
and
AR, Zocalox, James Wolfe,
Titan Uranus.
And I think Titan, Your Anus, Gurmania. What is up, everybody? And
thank you, Gurmania.
And with that, we're probably going to, in a moment, go into our calls. I do have a quick opener, very quick, because I couldn't help myself. James, some would say it's even a quick E. Okay. But we also are sending love to all of the people supporting the channel. If you would like to tag us, feel free to tag us at James W. and at Amy Newman, and we will try sometimes as much as we can to talk about your concept. But then you can also support the channel, and we'll show your comment on screen by sending in a super chat. You can also become a channel member by getting our evolving badge system, very on topic right now. And evolution, I mean, it is the proxy war for religion. The creationists it really triggers them. I don't know what it is. Well, we do know what it is, which is that if evolution is true, then stories like Noah are not true.
All they really lose is their ultra literal interpretation of Genesis.
Yes.
Which is why lots of Christians who aren't that wrapped up into a hyper literal interpretation of Genesis, they don't care. It's not really important to them.
Well, most of the Christians I find that are into science, that are not, have this fundamentalist interpretation, they're no problem accepting the Big Bang, no accepting pollution. That's my new thing, James. See, did you notice? That guy
I know.
But do you notice? Now you have to take either a pro-pollution or an anti-pollution stance. Okay. I stand by it. It is really.
I don't think it's gonna work.
But I feel better. I sleep better at night.
You fight the good fight. Like trying to reclaim words like woke. You keep fighting that battle, and maybe you'll reclaim it.
Do you see me in the chat? I can't help myself. You see it sometimes.
Woke just means politically active or aware.
It does. No, listen. The ship has sailed. I understand that, because this is how it went. It went from a bunch of people who had dark skin trying to say, "Please stay woke. please stay politically active or we're not going to get any of our things through the system. And then it became very bougie. And once it became very bougie, then what happened was it became like, oh my God, it's just these people
college
in
kids,
the college
rich
things.
liberals,
Which I have not heard
liberals.
anything. Have you heard? I don't hear. That's the other thing that I think I'm getting increasingly more vocal, because it's the types of stuff that were the riots and all that, though maybe it was a specific person that made it. Anyway, and so once it became the bougie, then you had this reactionary, which was, well, now we hate the college kids and we're the anti-college kids, and the college kids are saying this, and so we have to be the opposite of this. And so so the being woke means to actually be annoying. Being woke means that you actually want to cancel people and that you want to, it is a language game, James. Yeah. But
it's semantics, it's politics,
but I will say, can I just say, if I could just compliment who I don't normally compliment, the right is really good at marketing. Okay? A lot of times their narratives shtick.
They're
for
better
a while
at politics than the other side.
Now I think their shticks eventually fail. I think all of them, just like I'll give you an example. What is a woman? James, what is a woman? What is a woman? Who really knows? Are we biologists? That is a good shtick. It doesn't work because in the end, you have not only sociologists, but biologists, anthropologists. You have a multitude of people, the experts in the field, that actually
Well, what do you expect them to say? I mean, come on.
No, exactly. But this is what I'm saying, is that the shticks, not only do the shticks work, but they're a form of projection. Because what I normally get is, when we're talking about evolution or religion or whatever, insert the whatever, they look at me and they go, who am I to talk about biology? James, of anyone? The tranny talking about, biology? James.
Of all things, yeah.
But yes, very specifically, yes. Because we
talk about
actually...
anything except gender. That should be the only thing you could talk about.
But I find, and not always, but the LGBTQ are trying to explain an actual nuanced definition from biology and sociology, and then the creationists reject biology. Like, they reject the backbone of biology, which, to get onto the theme, evolution. And so
then they say, you don't even agree with biology. You don't even accept biology.
Exactly. And so this is why, when they say that they're coming for your children, listen to them, because they're telling you what they're doing. They're coming. Not only are they coming for your children, well,
for your children.
That's a different story. Though we've seen him do like a podcast or two the past month or so. He's been trying to
inch back in, stick his head in the door like Kramer on Seinfeld, see what's going on.
Yeah. It would be like if
guys?
It's like if Epstein got off.
You forget about it? Yeah.
Huh? Is your memory? Oh, it hasn't even been a year yet.
He still makes veiled references to his victim, there's so many whores in North Carolina. It's the worst place in the world. Oh, the women there, they're so...
Yeah, I'm sure.
Dude,
once again, that makes it sound like he's trying to be the victim.
Did she really seduce you? Were you just unable to control yourself? I mean, come on. At that point,
those teenagers. But that's okay.
The thing, you can't just come out and say, yeah, you know what? I really fucked up. That was really, really stupid of me, and I'm sorry. And I won't do that again. And it was wrong, and I'm doing the best I can to go forward. And if you want to hate me for it, but it's all I can do.
That's true. But they don't really, None of them, just like
Humility.
Khalil, will go down fighting to the end, except for the plea deal that he accepted. But I'm sure if you asked him, I don't know
that's
what,
because of my religion. They were going to put me away for a lot longer.
Exactly.
That was the only deal I had to accept, even though it's not true. I was framed. It's all about my religion. Yeah, framed.
But if you disagree with what any of us have to say, in a second we are going to open up the phone lines. I think so. We did our shtick. Supporters. Oh, the evolving badge system. Boop, boop, boop. By the way, my last point on the evolving badge system, and just this point on evolution, they really do think what I call is Pokemon evolution. They expect Inedible to go start flashing colors, and in an explosion their skin just goes and within whatever is left is a new organism that looks completely different. It's smaller or bigger. Something is there's smoke letting off, and they're like, oh my god, Bakazilla, you became Super Bakazilla. That's the type of evolution that they think happens.
We do have a Discord.
We do have a Discord. Fantastic question.
But you know what I was thinking the other day, an analogy to think of it, okay, just imagine you start with a Lego, okay, and every animal organism, you start with one Lego block, and every animal that comes off of that is just a modified version of that. You add a Lego. And you just keep going on for that. And you can make some amazing things with Legos, but it only happens by a modification of that first initial Lego. Everything that comes off of
happens. Like you're saying, simple, then complex. It's never complex and then simple, then complex, like an Oreo. That's not how it works.
Well, they'll say, well, that's an example of losing something. You've got to lose everything till you gain everything. I'm like, no, Ken, no. It's not out.
I'm looking forward to that debate. Just because I think that his shtick, speaking of shticks, is, to have running dad jokes. And I mean, I do love a good dad joke, but I think that his humor works well on people who are very dry, the academics that he's used to going up for. And I know I like to think I have an academic background on the web and technology side, but it's not the evolution, Big Bang, physics side that I think they're used to people being, what's the word? Honest? Yeah, scientists are, I think, used to people that they're talking with being honest, and so it's hard to...
White males over the age of 50 without a high school diploma. It's very popular.
Well, James, you need to understand, he went to the University of Basement, okay? And they have been accredited all over... We're not sure which country, but they're definitely accredited with one of them. Probably.
Botswana?
With the Bible. They're registered. They're accredited with God, James. That's who they're accredited with. Oh, no. I was going to say North Korea, but it made no sense. But yes.
Oman.
I wanted to say the Better Call Saul. He went to the University of Samoa. Though that's an actual probably college. Once again, I can't make fun of actual colleges or actual degrees. I used to make fun of someone who,
you can make fun of some colleges.
Well, no, see, I used to say, James, basket weaving. Come on, who's going to take a basket weaving degree? But the difference between a Bible and a degree in basket weaving is with one of those, you actually get a basket. I'll let you figure out which one's which.
You can do things with a Bible. I mean, if remember when the pandemic came out, Amy, and you could not get toilet paper for a long time. It was very hard to Yeah, people.
That was an interesting point in life. Yes, when toilet paper was almost gold.
People were hoarding toilet paper. Yeah.
Hoarding toilet paper,
Like,
which is by the
Cornholio.
which is
bring me your TP.
TP for your butthole, something like that. For your bunghole.
Yes.
For your bunghole. There you go. All right. So Patreons, we do want to send out love. We'll send it into the internetosphere. We do have a Patreon that helps us support the channel, helps put the lights on, and we're getting closer and closer.
Buys Gizmo treats. He likes it.
Exactly. The high-end catnip at patreon.com/Amy Newman.
French catnip.
Sending love also to everyone in chat. I see so many amazing
He has expensive taste. If you put bottom of the barrel cat food in his bowl, he'll just look at you and be like, he'll be like, "What the fuck is this?" Like, no, He'll just look at you and start meowing. You will not accept like
a cat has to have standards.
Yeah, you will not accept like the store brand version of cat food.
But sending love to our supporters, sending love to James Wolfe. We saw him out there. We see him. I see him in lots of atheists, amazing servers. James Wolfe, as we howl at the moon. And I keep on saying, but going forward, I want to do multiple. I want to do late night and late, though also more. He's also been a big supporter of my comedy, so also just a big supporter of my comedy. Sending love to James Wolfe, as well as another big supporter of my comedy. Sending love to Rachel. Reminding us that femboys should be buckled to beds. What are we talking about?
That's fuzzy.
Like handcuffs. A pipeline. Fuzzy handcuffs, James.
Leather paddles.
And all the anti-LGBTQ, our other message is just ask yourself, would you look cute in pink fuzzy cuffs? Because if so,
he is cute.
You may be in. Sending love to also davegar, as we remind everyone the world is kind of thick. We like it thick.
Thanks, mate.
Sending love. Yes, because I'm such a cutie. Sending so much love to Krista Seibel, reminding us that we have Christians in our skeptic and ranting community. We have theists. The number one thing about skepticism is just having a little bit of doubt in your beliefs, just trying to question them. One thing, and the funny thing is, they always give us the young Earth creationists or the conspiracy theorists, whatever. Is they're always like, you're 99% sure of something? Why should I even talk with you if you're 99% sure? Then we're like, how sure of you? Insert thing. And they're like, 110%. Why would I even? And you can't change my mind either. I don't think I could be. And you're like, okay, why are we talking to you? I mean, we talk to the people because it's good to hear both sides, and I guess it's just an odd position to take. And as Norm Macdonald would say, oh, the hypocrisy.
What is it? Aaron Ross says, if you claim you know something for a fact that you don't, that's called a lie.
Yes. You could be wrong if you don't actually know. But if you know, it's kind of a lie. Which is what I think a lot of religious leaders.
You know there's a God. Well, you may believe there's a God. You may think there's a God, but how do you know there's a God?
Yes, and none of them.
Hopefully, Doorknob Head. Hopefully, just give me a warning if one comes sneaking up.
Clown. Okay, hold on. Because you said it, and I can't help myself. That's right, Georgie boy. We all float down here. That was okay. But I like my it. Like Stephen King. There's also a good comedian who does like videos where he dresses up as the clown, surprises people with jump scares. Sending love to Del Pastel as we look for a little bit of evidence. Thank you so much, Garrett. So, I like doing impressions, but there's a few that I can do that really well, and then some that I suck so bad. I'll do my best is probably... That's right, huh? Listen, you're gonna pay $7.99, $8.99. I don't fucking care, huh? What you fucking pay? Though that very specifically is kind of the South Park version of Mickey Mouse. / the real version. Anyway, sending so much love. Their kid, the mouse, is kicking DeSantis' butt. Not to take politics. I think so. That's kind of a, you could probably go a few different ways depending how you see it, because he took they supposedly took the first shot by being like, half of our characters are called queens. Do you think we're not going to be LGBTQ friendly? And so DeSantis then did the district, but then he wrote in they then had all of their own people put in, but then he tried to undercut that, which then they keep on going back and forth. But as far as I could tell, they have had the upper hand in most of the back and forths.
I haven't been following it too closely, but
he hasn't done much stuff for a while. The latest thing I've seen about him was he said that there should be some murdering going on if he gets elected. There's also a third guy that really scares the crap out of me. This other guy that basically trying to push for another form of Christian nationalism. Give me 1 second. I'll tell you. Actually, I don't want to say. I shouldn't even say his name. Why am I trying to get? Yeah, Mike. I don't know what. He's a younger guy.
Rick Santorum, is he coming back?
Yes,
remember good old
he has
Rick
a
Santorum?
degree in biology and in business, but he has some other horrifying
Dennis
disabilities. Probably.
He was the
My Pillow guy, I assume.
He was the Dennis Hastert, the Republican Speaker of the House. He was the longest-serving Republican Speaker of the House that it came out that he was having inappropriate. Back when he was a teacher in Illinois, he was having inappropriate contact with the boys on the wrestling team.
Who is this?
Dennis Hastert. He was the Speaker of the House in the early 2000s for 6 years.
Gotcha. That sounds familiar.
He was getting one of his former victims was blackmailing him for money, and he was taking large sums of money out. The IRS came to him and hey, why are you taking all this money out? He kind of just he blew him off, and so hey, now you're basically money laundering.
Oh, the guy said the guy who said that he wants to get elected. He's he wants to abolish the FBI, the IRS. I know everyone's mad at taxes, but the IRS and the Department of Education. Which I'm sorry,
is that Rick Perry? He's I would eliminate the Department of Commerce,
guy.
Energy, and
I'm old enough to remember that.
Oops,
But no, this guy's a younger guy. He's in third place at 5 or 6%. But his beliefs are just so radical that I'm just tired of it. Trump's gonna win. I know. I my gut feeling, as far as I could tell, is you can't beat celebrity. The Republican primary, because I'm hoping that it's a close enough match. But that's politics, baby. Let's keep on going forward. Who are two props who sending so much love.
John Wayne.
Sending love to Ian Davenport. Boom, 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 boom. Because apologetic arguments suck. Like the watchmaker. Our heart is not like a watch. It forms as an organ among many of our others, naturally.
The heart is more complicated than the space shuttle, and you think that formed naturally.
Yes, it do. Over billions of years, slowly but surely.
And you think all the hearts in the world all fit into one dot, smaller than a period on a page.
I hope that's true. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't think he will be. He'll probably be in prison or convicted of a felony, waiting sentencing.
Do you actually think? Here's my problem. I've become even though I'm mostly optimistic about things.
You're trying to stay vigilant. You don't want to. You don't want to.
Not to be cliche, but rich people get away with murder sometimes, and so it's like I worry how much of his bullshit has been normalized because people look at him being prosecuted right now and they're like, it's a political. They're just trying, and I honestly think
part of it is a little bit politics. That's true to a certain extent. It doesn't mean he didn't break the law, but I mean,
maybe it's political in that when you are political, you're always going to have a target for people looking for shit on you. But it's not political as in they didn't just make this up. They didn't make all this shit up.
No, he did break the law.
He is a shady, corrupt mother. And
it's just
yeah. No.
Well, the thing is like I said, they're very smart in how they're doing this. So they're indicting him in areas that are very friendly, like jury pool. I mean, that like he's going to be like the January 6th. That'll be in D.C., which is like 9. I think he got like 4% of the vote there. I mean, he's going to be done.
Also, that was I forgot that was Jacob. I'm trying to remember others now, but sending so much love. I think, and our last but not least. Oh, more cats in. Actually, I remembered one. Hold on. There we go. I can't help it. And this won't mean anything to James, but that's okay. Okay, there we go. Once again, I'll make the same joke that if you don't get these jokes, it's okay. You have a sex life. I am so excited.
You just can't hide it?
We're also sending love to Rejos because we have a skeptic Bible study. It's amazing. Please check it out. We are knee deep in Joshua. We're probably going to do it this week. We can't help ourselves. I've been convinced.
Try to get a weekday show done.
Yes. This has been my new shtick, James. I just found this out from Bert Armin, and so now I'm repeating it basically everywhere because I can't help myself. But did you know that the first 3 Gospels did not refer to Jesus as God?
Not explicitly.
Not explicitly. Yeah. Only John. Which means there's a possibility. I know that you don't even think that Jesus, but that means there's a possibility.
Well,
that
the
even
narrative
Jesus followers and Jesus.
The narrative evolved, even though he wasn't real. So Mark was the first one, and then people read it and said, "Hey, this is kind of interesting. I'd like to add my take to this."
Exactly. Well, the first Mark, Matthew, Luke they all have the synaptic gospels. They all share a lot of the same resources, and a lot of the same sources, except for this Q source, which kind of comes funny now saying QAnon and all that crap. But like Q is like the source for these two gospels, and then they all have their own independent sources, and then there is Mark. But then John is sitting over here, and he's the first gospel to be like, you know what? Jesus is God. He actually says it by name. And that's the first time. But that's kind of interesting that the latest gospel, the one to come last, is the first one to actually... You would think it'd be like kind of important in the first three gospels to be like, he's the Son of God.
Well, I mean, like in the Old Testament, you'd think it could be kind of important to let us know that there's this Satan dude walking around trying to trick everybody, but they didn't mention him right away either. So you have to wait several books in before you even... Oh, by the way, we didn't tell you about it before, but there's this Satan dude.
Oh, wait, there's more.
He's trying to trick you. Yeah.
Just kind of weird. But I'm actually going to... Let's do this. Can you let me do... Might be right back. 1 second, James. And then we'll have... My opener's probably less than a minute or two, because it's not very long. Can the Empire Strikes Back Darth Vader was Luke Skywalker's father. Spoiler alert. Also, I'm going to start watching the Clone Wars because I'm very interested now. Because not just the movie, there's an hello baby. Hi baby girl. There is an animated series that's supposedly really good, and I'm interested in a character that was Anakin Skywalker's apprentice, Darth Vader's apprentice. And so I'm interested about her and seeing that relationship. And so I'm going to watch it. Anyway, sending love out there. We're about to go calls. This was short for us, only 40 minutes. No, it's been a hot minute. We got to get all this stuff out. And so I'll be right back. Yes, the synoptic. I've just got into it, though. But now I'm kind of highly fascinated. I knew kind of nothing about it, but now I'm kind of like, ooh.
But what, the gospel?
Fascinated. Yeah. Because I was telling myself I'm just going to... Because I really didn't know. I don't know as much about Christianity as I do Judaism for obvious reasons, but I was going to wait, but now some of it's becoming interesting to me, and so maybe I won't read it word for word, but in a weird counter-apologetic way, the New Testament is becoming interesting just because you start to see it evolve, to use a word for tonight. But yes, I'll be right back, and we'll get into calls.
You get to see doctrine evolve. You get to see what the early the issues they were wrangling with, and by the way, lots of them are still some of the issues that divide Christians today. So, actually, a lot of the things that they had kind of settled for a long time because the Catholic Church just kind of settled them, and they were Christianity for a long time. There was really no other game in town. It was just them for so long. And then when they went, now that the Reformation happened, so now we have basically doctrinal chaos. You've got people going back and looking at all these different things. It had been settled for a long time, but that's the nature of the game. Which, without presupposition. Yeah, I'll tell you, you look at like Mark just on itself, and you look at how limited it is compared to even Matthew, because Mark was the first one chronologically, but even Matthew and Luke, Mark is really a lot more restrained in the claims that it makes and what it says, the language that it uses, and then John just really stepped it up to a whole nother degree with canonizing Jesus as God in the flesh. Yeah, What the Beck? Great to see you. Yeah, it's really interesting. It evolves like a narrative, which is why, to me, the idea of Jesus being this one singular person that existed is just really doesn't make sense to me, because you even see how the narrative changes. It's not like four people writing a story about somebody that they lived and spent time with, because it really just seems like it's the narrative evolving, not. Well, Pat, it would make sense that if you were going to be God, right, that you would also be the Son of God. You see, thus being your own Father and your own Son, and that's the only thing that makes any sense, Pat. And you'd also be your ghost too, for the Trinity, as we see in John 10:30. I go into the Father, for the Father is greater than I. And then you see in John 14:28, I and my Father are one. So Jesus, who is God, is greater than the Father. Jesus, who is the Father, is greater than the Father, who is the Son. You see, it really only makes sense in light of the Trinity, in light of Christianity, which is why how this Trinity doctrine originated. They tried to make all the things it says true at once, so you come up with this bizarre doctrine that they don't even claim to understand. They just call it the divine mystery. They don't claim to understand it. And then they go back in the Old Testament and say, oh, well, Jesus has to be God, because look in the Old Testament where parts where it says that nobody's ever seen God, but then it says people did see God. So how could that be? Well, they didn't see God the Father. They saw Jesus because he existed in the Old Testament. Well, no. It's just a contradiction. And that's all that it is. Some of the writers wrote that they saw God. Others wrote that they didn't. It's just a contradiction. So, but they invoke Jesus to go back in time and square that circle. Even though, of course, the Jews who were writing and believing and practicing the Old Testament will just tell you that God is one. That God having a son makes no sense. God being multiples in one doesn't really make sense. So yeah, it's just a way to try to make absurdity make sense, and you do that by you making another absurdity. And if we all believe it, we all make each other believe it. We just keep telling ourselves it's true. Maybe it'll be true. And by the way, if you don't believe it, we'll kill you, which was the law for quite a long time. And contrary to belief, not just the Catholics were doing it too. The Protestants did it too. John Calvin he was a friend of his, Gil Servetus, who had known Calvin for a long time, and Calvin had no qualm in ordering him to be burnt for contradicting the Trinity. Yeah, it was not the Reformation, at least in the instant, was not all about this religious freedom and freedom to believe whatever you want to believe and practice Christianity however you want to practice it. No, it wasn't really like that at all. It was differences in views on it, but they both wanted to impose their views on others. Welcome back.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so very much. And what is up, y'all? What is up? What is up, Beck? What is up? We say hi to Doorknob Head. And hi to everybody still with us and having fun. And we are going to go into a speech, a mono, and then we're going to have some fun taking calls. But with that, ba-dum-bum. Evolution is a fact? Yes, because a fact is something we know to be true. Evolution is a fact about biology. biological organisms evolve. Though it's true, evolution is also a theory or a framework of facts. Genes mutate either randomly or by some other factor, like the sun. Then a pressure, like the environment or a sex, applies to the populations of genes after successive generations, which explains a shark's sharp teeth or a peacock's bright feathers, or what I wear to weddings. Slowly but surely, we have gone from simple to single-cell organisms, gaining complexity as we became multicellular. We got our backbone in the ocean, a lot of our brain functioning power from our time as lizards. The emotions would creep in as we became furry animals.
Your time as lizards, Amy?
Oh. Well, that is true. In fairness, I am and my family are lizard people from
He's 33%
the planet.
lizard.
Exactly. From the planet Gujlorperslorp. But, you know, you got to do what you got to do. And then we became furries. Wait, no. We became furry mammals. Close enough. We became introspective about the world as simians. And as Homo sapiens, we began to write sonnets. Though we share genetic data with every life form on Earth. The snail on our pail, the banana tree, looks so free.
The banana, not the banana tree. Just the banana.
And I continuously think about that, by the way. It is like he holds up like either a uterus or a slog. And he's just like, are you related to the schlog? Are you telling me you're related to the schlog?
Are you related to a strawberry's uterus?
I mean, like, yes. I mean, in some respects. Normally, there's like the whole other part that goes with it. Like to the cherry, the strawberry, the schlong. Normally, there's something else attached. But yes, I mean, technically speaking, the genetic data held within, we share common ancestry with. Yes, even the slime mold somehow forming in the cold. All can trace their early lineage to common ancestors billions of years ago. Somewhere on the tree of life. We know this because of the millions of fossils that line our museums, labs, and schools. And we know this because of genetic information and initiatives like the Human Genome Project. So when I hear the question, evolution is a fact? The answer is yes. The theoretical framework that gave us germs, gravity, and evolution is a peer review system that allows us to discern fact from fiction. Otherwise known as science. Thank you.
Genetic entropy.
That's right. We're evolving backwards. Jesus, my Lord and Savior. Again, that word, though.
What's that?
Just the phraseology, Lord and Savior, all the stuff. The cross itself. Did you know another thing about the Jesus story? Jesus was not killed for religious crimes. He did not.
Killed for political.
Yes, because the Jews stoned to death. Wonderfully. religious crimes, and the Roman government would oftentimes crucify.
Well, yeah, he was because, well, the Romans, like I say, they weren't necessarily interested in governing the local affairs of all the provinces they run, so they would allow the local kings and to exist as vassals of Rome. As long as they didn't interfere with what Rome was doing with trade and followed the program, they didn't really care. But so if you were a threat to the stability of the local rulers, the local chieftain,
very specifically, the claim was being king of the Jews. The claim of king of the Jews is what,
right.
He didn't use that exact language of what he was, but I think
claiming
that was
indirectly to be God.
But the Messiah, that was their word, the Messiah. By claiming to be the Messiah, you are claiming to be the king of the Jews.
Right.
The same in
a roundabout way of saying you're God, kind of, without directly coming out and saying it.
Yes.
Considered to be blasphemous.
And all right, so we are about to switch into calls. We already have some people behind the stage, but just to send love, the Call Me Skeptical format, Call Us Skeptical, on evolution as a fact. We are looking for people who disagree with us. The two schmucks on the channel here, as you see below, tend to be skeptics. However, we're looking for views that don't agree with our own. So if you fit the bill, the link to join the show is in chat.
You should be skeptical of evolution.
Oh, I know. You should be skeptical of mainstream science, James.
You should be skeptical of evolution.
Exactly.
So skeptical of Christianity, but have you ever applied that to your own belief system?
Well, you're lagging just a little.
Oh, of course not.
But, and I agree, they are not applying that to their own beliefs. The link is in there. I'm pinning it, and we already have two people with us. I'm pretty sure Stephanie is going to agree with us, and Thorn on your side we are bringing
pretty
you in. You're going to be our first caller on Call Us Skeptical. Evolution is a fact. Let's have some fun. Woohoo! What is up, Thorn on your side? Hope you are having a fantastic
Emma
time.
Thorn logo.
I don't know who that is.
But we are talking evolution is a fact. I do notice a pee-pee in the back, though.
Is that Emma Thorn in a SS uniform?
I don't know who Emma Thorn is. I have no clue.
Godwin's Law. That's okay. We are having some fun. What are your thoughts on the subject?
Well, you posed a challenge. So, evolution a fact. How do you know that?
How do we know? Because of genetics, because of how much we share, as well as a fossil record, including like the geological column, tying all that together.
How are you tying this all together?
So, more complex organisms actually are on the top, and it gets simpler life forms, and you never, this is like, I'm trying to remember his exact challenge. The morphological challenge is that if a creationist would, the phylogeny challenge, if we would just be able to show some sort of organisms more complex, maybe being at the bottom or things like that. Can I ask, do you have a view on the diversity of life?
Well, I mean, I'm anti-evolution.
Do you bubblegum?
But just being anti-evolution doesn't mean. So, do you know how the diversity of life came about then?
I would say all diversity was created.
Yeah. Any evidence
all
for that?
Diversity was created.
Well, I think we're shifting the debate topic. Wasn't this about evolution?
It goes hand in hand. For every time that I think that we talk about evolution, I also think it is also important to talk about any alternative models, because I think the reason that we're talking about evolution being a fact is because creationists attack evolution, and because
contradicts their.
Well, I don't need to prove creationism to debunk evolution.
Okay, then what do you? I think that you do need your own model, but what problems do you have with evolution?
Well, it has no evidence.
Okay, but we already went over why that's not true.
Well,
who determines there's no evidence?
Amy, are you saying DNA only exists in the evolution model?
Yes.
So, okay. So you're saying creationists would not believe that there would be DNA?
Yes, I think they have no explanation.
You said we're not talking about creation, so don't talk about creation.
I mean,
I'm not. I'm just trying to get Amy to make her position a bit more clear.
But
so you're saying
I'm saying that creationists do not have any evidence for genetic data, correct?
What
they don't understand when they say it's a code?
Hold up, Amy. Where did the information for your computer come from?
The information from my computer? That's very obscure. What level are we talking about? Do you mean like an operating system? Do you mean the information coming in from the internet?
All of it. Yeah. This is a very intellectual question.
I know, all of it.
Yes, all of it.
I mean, computers are artificial.
Did somebody make it? Yes or no, Amy? Yeah, somebody made it, right?
No.
So somebody made that information, right?
Can I get your? This is the
so
the,
it would
like,
be a double
one
standard for you to say, well, the information in DNA didn't come from a mind.
So this is like the number one question you get in like every starting of IT class. What's your definition of information?
Well, I would say data is one way.
Just data? Hold on, just one sec. Just data?
No, I would say information would be. Let's see.
Scientific definition here, Bubblegum. Come on.
Well, it just says. I mean, what type of information we're talking about? Not all information is the same.
What's your definition of information?
How do you use the term? When you say information, what do you mean?
I mean data when I say information.
You just mean data.
No, well, not just data, but...
Okay, I don't think... Let's continue. Just one more question. What's your definition for data?
It would be... Let me think about that. It would be... I'm not going to say information again, but that would be circular. So I don't want to be circular.
Yeah.
So think about that.
Look up some data on that.
It would be symbols and numbers that symbolize something.
There we go. We're getting closer. Data to me would be symbols. So I'll ask you again. What's your definition of information?
That was my definition for information.
It's just symbols?
No, that symbolize something.
Oh, that symbolize something.
Yeah.
So now we're starting to suss things out, because my definition of information would be the translation of data. It's the translation of symbols. Because when we look at a different language, for example, like Chinese, it just looks like a bunch of symbols. To many people, it may look like nothing at all. It's when you're able to sit there and decipher it that you're finally able to gain information.
So we're saying the same thing.
We got there.
Not really. A very roundabout way of splitting a hair.
But...
So you think data found in the DNA did not come from a mind, but the data found in your computer did. But somehow you think it is impossible the data in DNA did not come from Owen. How did you conclude that?
I'm saying that it's not processed information or code in the same way that we use a code. It is just a chemical combination that's going off.
Well, there's no chemical reaction.
So we can describe things in the natural world using symbols and data. We can transcribe that to understand it, but it's not what they are. DNA is a chemical at its essence. So we use data and symbols to describe it, so we can understand what it's doing, the reactions that it's having. But it's just a chemical.
Did you know that is
just
so
following the laws of
fallacious.
chemistry.
No, it is
what is it doing that's
James.
not? What is it doing that,
James,
that violates the laws of physics?
Do you think
where's the magic? Where's
James,
the magic
do you think the what's being processed in your CPU is the product of the silicon, or is it the product of the structure of the silicon?
It's electrical impulses moving.
Ask again. Do you think it's the product of it being silicon, or is it the product of the structure?
I don't know what you
silicone, because it's a good conduit. Just like,
so do you think it's in some sort of essence that emerges from the silicon, and it doesn't have to do anything with the structure and ordering of it? Is that your argument?
I want to point out that computers are not self-replicating.
Doesn't matter.
What do you mean it doesn't matter?
Because he's making
computers are artificial.
You're not tracking. He's making the argument that it's a product of the chemicals, and not okay.
Well, biologists are making that argument, but we're not supporting it. Yeah,
okay, Richard Dawkins. Do you know who Richard Dawkins is?
I've heard of him.
Okay, are you saying Richard Dawkins is lying when he's saying DNA is a code?
Sounds like a baited.
No, he said that. So is he lying, Amy?
Well, it's not a lie. You could maybe.
It's either yes or no.
But I don't think it's.
I don't think he's lying.
Okay,
I think that is a creationist type of edit.
No,
I don't think
it's
not
a
best way to
Wait, do you
it.
think we use like AI and like made a false?
No, I think sometimes you ask loaded questions.
It's not a loaded question.
So if you were to ask Richard Dawkins, are our genes code just in the same way that DNA is a code, he would say no. He would say creationism is nonsense. It's unfounded. There's no good evidence for intelligent design. Would you agree with that?
Of course, Richard Dawkins is going to disagree with creationism. But he is not denying that it's a code.
In the same way that DNA is a code. The same thing.
So you agree
I would love to see.
So you agree with Richard Dawkins, right?
I agree that DNA is not a code, and that generally
Richard
speaking,
Dawkins says it is a code.
Well, I would love to see that clip. I imagine it is basically a creationist. Because what is it? It generally goes, Jesus definitely existed. Atheists are dumb. Evolution isn't true. Signed, Stephen Jay Gould. That's how it generally goes. And we're like, yeah, he probably didn't say that.
No,
but why do you care? Why do you care what Dawkins thinks about? Why do you care what Dawkins thinks about DNA being a code? Because you think Dawkins is wrong about everything else.
Well,
you think he's wrong about
you. Don't.
Yeah, but you wipe your ass with his PhD. You don't care about his PhD. You think he doesn't know what he's talking about.
But you should. I'm not saying he doesn't know what he's talking about. I think he's very clever.
You reject evolution. He's an evolutionary biologist.
Why would I, just because I reject his conclusion, doesn't mean I think he's an idiot.
I mean, kinda. If your life's work and the amount of time and dedication he's put into this, and if he's came to a wrong
I think he's just a religious ideologue. I mean, he goes against the science like you guys go against the science. You guys can't even provide a single constructive mutations. Like provide constructive mutations, some observable constructive mutations.
It's been done numerous times.
We have never observed constructive mutations.
It's happened more times than you can count.
No, you're just presupping it happened, but there's no actual observable.
You have, first of all, you could look at the vast majority of our systems as positive mutations. You are just denying them. So the fact that we breathe air, oxygen, is a positive mutation.
Bacteria resistance to antibiotics, the ability to digest things that didn't exist before, like
stop
nylon.
presupping evolution and give some actual evidence of that, actual observable evidence of that happening.
Oh, so when we do that, you don't like it.
You don't have any.
So we know that there was basically an extinction event because of photosynthetic bacteria, and plants were able to dominate. And as oxygen rose, it killed out the vast majority of organisms, on land anyway, who could not breathe air. We know this for a fact. Now, I know you're not going to believe it, but I just want to put
But this is storytelling. I don't need a story. I need some actual observable evidence, Amy.
I would say the story is you don't accept science, but let's put that fact.
You don't accept science. Science is done through evidence, Amy.
Sure.
You're not showing. I'm sorry.
Evidence do you have?
I'm sorry, but you're not showing any.
What evidence do you have for creationism?
Okay, but we agree we're switching topic now, all right?
I agree that the reason we're talking about evolution is because creationists want evolution to be wrong. And we could talk about why evolution is true. James and I are going to spend the vast majority talking about evolution and its aspects in biology, and you're going to offer nothing. That is my prediction.
Here's the thing: we're offering evidence for evolution, and you're saying not evidence. So, what do you consider evidence for creationism?
James,
so we can get an idea of your understanding of what evidence is. What evidence do you
I'm sorry,
will accept?
James. I'm sorry, but telling a story is not evidence. You know what is evidence? Showing actual observable constructive mutations. That's real evidence.
Would you agree that because story is not evidence, the Abrahamic religions are not true?
Absolutely.
Really? That's just okay.
Well,
then what God? Okay, what God? What God are we talking? What kind of creator?
I mean, it wouldn't even matter. I could even postulate an alien.
Does.
I could postulate an alien did it.
No, evolution happens no matter what. Evolution happens wherever life
is.
Even
if an alien seeded life.
If it was not.
Yeah.
Look, I could even postulate maybe fairies did it. It doesn't matter.
Listen, stop bringing up things you believe in. I'm just teasing you. Do you believe in fairies?
He does. He has no evidence.
I believe in angels.
Evidence for it.
No. But like so many people in America believe in angels. It's way funnier if you believe in the other stuff. I'm sorry. I don't make the rules up, but like.
Yeah. Wouldn't a fairy just
I don't want to hear your stories about angels.
That?
I want to see observable evidence for your angels.
Wouldn't it just like a fairy be like a midget? A midget angel?
I want to say like it's like a few inches tall. They're like, they have wings. They're dressing in colorful clothing. I'd be okay with an emo fairy. Like they can dress.
Wouldn't that be a cherubim? I think they have those in Christianity. Cherubim.
But I guess my question is, do you believe in fairies? You can answer the fifth, but I have to.
I would say yes. Winged beings. Small winged beings.
Small winged beings.
Now, Amy. So let's say,
but that's not storytelling, right? That's data. That's real science that we are starting to get to.
This is where it all falls apart.
Well, really Amy, look, let's just agree we're getting away from the topic because you guys can't defend it with science.
I would say it puts into context like where you're coming from, because like you believe in fairies, you believe in what are the things that steal shoes, you believe in gnomes, And so, like,
Get
when
this,
you
Amy, get
believe
this.
it,
Amy,
hold on,
wait,
one
that's
more,
not the
one more.
craziest.
Hold
That's not
on,
the craziest one.
It's not. No, why am I even talking?
Let me tell you.
Continue.
Let me tell you the craziest one. I believe. Get ready for this. God. I believe in God. Ain't that crazy?
I mean, I think that
That
in
is
some
actually
ways,
crazier.
it's as like they are on par. It's just about how many burgers are you selling. Like we sell a lot of hamburgers, the God one. So it's always interesting when like a McRib comes along. We're like, what animal is that? They're like, we don't know. We're like, okay.
Well, Amy, you believe what's that? A gray wolf turned into a Dalmatia. Now, how did they do this transgenderism? Did they go to the hospital? How did they do that?
So, wait, you do know from species to species, it's not it's not okay. I knew. I was like, it's gonna be. Is it gonna be a man being a woman? It was that you somehow were able to mix your like thing that wolves aren't dogs with the trans thing. Anyway, can I ask one more? Do you believe in giants?
Yeah. You know what? So, here's another one. I believe in demons.
So all these batshit crazy things that you have no evidence for, not a lick of evidence for. No evidence whatsoever for. But evolution, you think we don't have
exactly.
Evidence.
But James, I'm sorry, but we do have evidence for the supernatural. Actual observable evidence.
Not very good evidence.
15 feet of evidence.
It is. Well, there's plenty of videos of the supernatural.
Only you think
that is observable evidence, unlike evolution, James. I'm sorry.
But can I just put on the table, just as we're going through evidence?
You're right, Stephen. Yes.
Where you believe in fairies, gnomes, and giants, and then you come to us and you're like, why do you just believe in all of these stories? And it's like, you believe it like Grimm's fairy tales are real. Like I love me a good fairy tale, but like
do you think
the literal word?
Do you think people just made it out of thin air, or is it based on experiences?
Some of it, yeah. A lot of it, yeah. They did.
Like, do you think angels are just made out of thin air, or perhaps somebody had an experience with a ghost or an angel?
I think that we looked at birds and we were like, I can imagine a human that could fly. And we were like, yeah, that'd be cool. Why don't we make them as like MIDI things between us and God? Yeah, I think we pulled it out of our butt. I'm literally writing an angel story, 5 out of 12 chapters, baby. And I'm just making stuff up. They're mining a mineral called uptamium. Just made it up. It's very obtainable.
Well, let's get back on topic. I want to hear some more evidence for evolution.
More evidence. You don't like so?
It doesn't matter because you're just not going to accept any of it.
Exactly.
Well, if only if you present actual observable evidence, James. I don't want a story.
Only you think it's not observable. Actual. Only you.
No, it's a fact.
They know what they're talking about. They think it's observable.
This is a scientific fact, James. It is a scientific fact. Constructive mutations have never been observed.
You are not the arbiter of scientific
I'll continue.
fact. I hate to tell you that.
But I have to just point it out at least once. Is there a reason you're talking slightly slower and darker? Is this you read a book that was how to convince people?
No, I'm going through my Emma Thorne dark phase. This is her dark arc. Darth Emma. I was contemplating Darth Emma or Darth Thorne, but Thorne in your side.
So some claim they don't know who Emma Thorne is. Such dishonesty.
I know, it's completely we've come
honesty.
I don't know who that is.
Your God that you don't believe in is going to send fairies to tickle you in your sleep tonight for your dishonesty.
I don't know what you're talking about. Who is that?
Bubble. You are going.
That's the one thing I agree with you, Bubble. It's the first honest thing you said.
You will not have one sock in your room, in your house. Your kids' socks, your wife, they'll all be gone. The gnomes are going to take them all.
No, I just started this channel 2 days ago. I went on to Danny. Do you know who Danny is? Danny from Phil Talk.
Yeah, love Danny.
Yeah, I was on his channel earlier. He got butt mad because apparently he was postulating that
You just
the
said that
love
with such
particle.
a little bit of a spice. That was interesting.
Oh yeah, I'm
Continue.
telling you, I'm going with my Darth Thorn. I think
Okay.
that does that sound Sith enough for you, Darth Thorn?
Sure.
It's
Thanks.
that Ken Hovind, his idol, has beef with Emma Thorne, so he has to back Kent up
okay.
by
No,
Why are you on the side? Oh, right.
going against Emma Thorne. Yeah.
no, I was copying Darth Dawkins and Darth Uranus.
Everyone's got to be Darth. Got to have
Yeah.
that. I like
Yeah.
to call him Gary.
Yeah, I was talking to Danny earlier. He was postulating that there was a love particle. Apparently, he thinks the love particle exists.
Okay.
Love particle.
Yeah. So, I'm having a ball today. So let's get back to the evolution debate. What evidence do you have for evolution?
Well, I mean, we've talked about the fossil record and the genes and the geological column. I don't know what. Oh, I know what I wanted to say.
Haeckel's embryos.
But it's why this isn't about us giving you evidence, because your epistemological toolkit, your tool, what you accept as a tool. If I were to give you a article from Nature, the journal Nature, would you accept it? That said evolution, is real.
Well, what if I gave you the Bible and the Bible said evolution was not real? Would you accept that?
No, because it's not the journal Nature. It's not an actual scientific journal.
Well, I could just say
specifically. I would say
that, that's not the Bible. It's not something in accordance with reality.
Sure, but why would you bring up the Bible? Why are we even talking about the Bible? I asked you a question about evolution.
Because I'm trying to make fun. I'm trying to make you realize somebody just writing something on a piece of paper and saying this is true doesn't make it true.
Sure, so you don't accept scientific journals, is what you're telling us. You don't accept the peer review process.
He doesn't accept science.
You don't accept science.
I accept science. What I don't accept is people
going
against science and then
where do you accept science? Like what journals do you accept? What can I go out and go? Okay, you accept from nature, from a government organization, from a scientific lab. Give me something that I can look up.
I accept that which is in accordance with reality.
What does that even mean?
I know, right? I saw that. What does that even mean?
It sounds like an extremely
reality.
It is sophist.
But it sounds like a political answer that doesn't answer anything.
It is. It's sophistry.
Okay.
So when somebody says reality, they're just being sophist. I'm gonna stop doing that right now. So what I mean by that is something that's actually observable, something that's a fact, Amy.
Okay. Evolution is observable and a fact.
Wait, evolution observed? When have we observed constructive mutations?
Do you remember COVID-19?
You realize somebody manufactured that in a lab.
Doesn't matter where it came from.
What does that matter? First of all, artificial or natural selection. It's all evolution, baby.
Still evolution. Yeah.
There was no selection involved. The only selection involved was the people making the decision of what genes to insert.
No, Bubble.
Did you just
wherever that virus came from.
Did you just listen to that sentence? There was nobody involved except for the people involved. Except for the people involved, no one involved.
No, I said there was no selection involved, aside from the selection the people made of what genes and proteins to insert.
Exactly.
Amy, are you denying that there was a patent for COVID-19? That's how they got caught.
Yeah, we're not here to talk about COVID origin theory.
Yeah, that is what is in question.
And yeah, like Titan says, I'll also say that is, first of all, we don't actually know where COVID came from.
Amy,
my point still being that.
1 second, Amy, I'm sorry, but you can't appeal to creation as evidence for evolution.
Something, whether it's artificial selection or natural selection, they did not just pull it from their butt. they actually have to select for different organisms. And eventually, you get so much different genomes that you actually have something that cannot
It was
speciate with the same
manufactured.
one.
Why don't you get in the part that it was
Okay,
manufactured?
we're not talking about that. Stop talking about the origin of it.
Well, don't bring it up.
No, that's a sidestep. It's evolution. Well, it is a conspiracy theory because it hasn't been
No, it's not a
confirmed, and we don't
conspiracy
accept
theory.
until...
They got caught because they patent some of those mutations, quote unquote, changes. They were patent and they got caught.
Either, once again, though, artificial, natural selection, both of these. The reason why you don't think it's artificial selection is because you don't think that dogs came from wolves.
We have zero evidence for that.
Okay, only you think that. All the other even creationists, they're fine with it, Bubble.
James,
you are
James,
a one-man army out there.
James.
And all the other creationists think you're dead wrong on that. You don't know what you're talking about. So your standard of evidence
which other creationists?
All of them. Every single one of them.
Which ones? All the creationists.
Ken Hovind accepts that wolves, dogs came from wolves.
Wait, are you saying Christians are creationists? They're not creationists.
Not all of them?
Yeah.
Wait.
Some of them? What's the point?
Young Earth creationist is a
the definition of evolution is variations within that variations within a kind lead to the variation of
not
species.
The definition. You've already said kind, so that's.
I'm trying to avoid. I'm trying to avoid that word, but it's hard to.
Not really. I mean, it's just a made-up word. It's a pseudoscience word. The creation is just.
It comes from the Bible of all.
Yeah.
Eventually, yeah, but the definition is that
you could just use species.
Okay, species. There you go. Yeah, species. Variation within the species give rise to new organisms. Correct? Roughly. We agree.
I believe that's the closest I've ever heard you come to it.
A change in allelic frequency over time. The genome changes.
Yeah. So, and brings about new organisms. So, yeah, the Christians believe that they're evolutionists. They believe that that wolves gave rise to dogs. That's evolution.
Well, I would agree. They draw the distinction of micro and macro evolution, but
that's still evolution.
They do that because they're backed into a corner, and they have to accept that because there's overwhelming evidence of evolution. They just don't want people to connect the dots.
No. It's not because they're backed into a corner. It's because biblically they have to. I mean, how else are they going to fit all the animals into the boat? So they have to come up with the rescue.
That's one reason, but
either way, we agree that
all the evidence
are evolutionists.
What we see today, speciation. We observe speciation.
But we agree that Christians are evolutionists, correct?
Well, they would not call themselves evolutionists, but if you want to say they accept to a certain degree, but what are you?
Depends on the Christian.
Well,
what are you getting at?
Generally, all Christians are evolutionists. They all agree.
Trying to circumcise an ant here, Bubble.
I would say that if the majority of them were pro-evolution, then we probably wouldn't have to have this subject. And if that's true, then are you saying you're pro-evolution and evolution is true?
No.
I know you're not a Christian, but I just don't understand.
I'm saying that no, true creationists don't say that dogs came from wolves. That was your original point.
Oh, you're doing a purity test. I get it now. He's saying that any Christian that says dogs came from a wolf is an evolutionist. He's trying to say he's that much more of a creationist. I didn't know that you put syrup on your creationists. I had no idea.
This is the pancake.
It's like he's going full flat earther.
This is the pancake of creationism. They're taking away the pancake and leaving the syrup. So ask again, James. What actual evidence do you have that dogs came from wolves? I want some real scientific evidence.
We can show you in the fossil record. We can show you the genetic similarity between dogs and wolves. We can show you the fact that we have taken wolves and bred them into all the breeds of dog, and we've done that in the span of human history.
Wait,
go back 1,000 years ago. There were no Great Danes, Chihuahuas.
Wait, 1,000? You sure about that? You sure about that, James?
Can I ask
1,000 years ago. Wait,
So-
James, is it your claim that 1,000 years ago there was no Dalmatian?
I believe so.
No, it's actually been recorded for at least over 2,000 years.
I love
I'd have
how
to
all
double
that
check
from
on
1,000
to
to
see
2,000.
exactly where.
I wanted him to say a number that was actually, an old time, but he can't.
But
believe
you
an
see,
old
the thing
time.
is, if we can do that,
Well, we don't have records going back
in
that far.
2,000 years, which is
Yes,
nothing in the span of Earth time, billions of years, then on its own, there's no reason that life can't diverge and diversify.
All right, Bubble.
No,
Let's hear your model. How did dogs form?
Form? You mean created?
Yeah, how were they created? Whatever you want to use, whatever terminology. Break it down for me.
So, there's a god, and then it creates a dog using.
No. Okay.
Well,
Here we go.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
It uses the chemicals of DNA to implant the DNA with information. That is what defines a specific dog.
So hold on. The god is just sitting there how many years ago?
Who knows? I don't think we need the number, right?
You don't need the
doesn't even
number?
care.
No, I think that matters.
Okay, more than
that's a little
2,000 years ago.
More than 2,000 years ago, because you think 2,000 is a big number. Okay.
Well, that's as far as our records go back.
Our
bit
records
more,
go back?
Well, a
Our
little bit
records-
more, but
We have trees that are older than that, but okay.
Yeah, but actual human recording historians.
We have
6,000 years.
the Bible is 3,500. Wait, what the fuck are you saying?
The Bible is not 3,000 years.
Bible's
Come on,
Yes.
nobody's- the Bible 3,000 years.
Factually,
3,000
how
years.
old
Yeah.
do you
Think
think
about
the
that. Amy,
wait.
think about that. The Bible.
let's think about this. How old
No,
do
the
you think the Old
earliest
Testament
manuscript-
is?
Wait, Amy.
Came out
the
around
Bible.
900 BC, so it is close to 3,000 years.
The Bible. Now you're talking about the old Jewish
The
text.
Bible.
Yes, the
Yeah.
old Jewish texts are
The old
older.
Jewish text.
But
You
the
just claimed the
Bible-
Bible. You just claimed the Old Testament was as old as the New Testament.
The
You realize
Bible.
that?
No, I'm talking about the Bible.
Give or take 100 years? Yeah.
More.
How old do you
There
think
you
the
go.
Old Testament? No, yes. The New Testament was 2,000 years. How old was the Old Testament?
Amy, Jewish texts and the Bible are separate. I was talking about the Bible because you said
No,
the
I know
Bible.
this.
We're
I
talking
know
about the
this-
Old Testament.
We know of
Don't do this.
religious
I
texts
agree. I agree.
way
that they are-
older.
I
than the
agree
Bible,
with
and yet-
you. Yes, I agree with you. Like the Jewish text is older, but the Bible is not that old.
What?
The Bible is not 3,000 years old.
How old is the
Earliest
Old
writings from
Testament
the Old
in the
Testament,
Bible?
yeah.
Yes, there are certain texts within the Bible that are older.
Half the book.
Yes,
or
but
more.
we're talking about the actual Bible. There was no Bible 3,000 years ago.
The earliest fucking Old Testament writings, Bubble.
Nobody would call that the Bible.
It's part of the Bible, Bubble.
And so
It's part of the Bible now. It's part of the Bible around maybe somewhere around
Don't do this,
2,000 years
Bubble.
ago, but not
So-
3,000.
You're really straining. Like,
Well,
It's just a blunder. We don't have
any
to.
amount
We
of
don't have to
goodwill.
dwell on this blunder. It's just like, who cares about this blunder?
so
don't
I
have to
just
dwell
want
on
to
it.
say for really quick that
Pat has some important information.
Oh, come on as well, Pat. So in about 13 or so minutes, I'm gonna give you the option, Bubble, if you would like. We felt that like the 20 minutes of cross-examination, I feel like that might be getting along, but we're going to give if Stephanie would like 10 minutes with you, and Beamsy would like 10 minutes with you. If you
No,
still
it'd be
want
a
to stick
quick
around,
Beamsy.
He only needs like 10 minutes.
Sure, I'll stay,
just
but
putting that out there.
just as long as you control Beamsy. He's a very toxic person.
Bubble.
Well, I've actually been told by a very specific gnome that Beamsy's going to be a good boy. Isn't that weird? I get
if you can't handle
very
Beamsy,
specific
Bubble,
chocolate chip cookies from this person. I know them. I have them on the DL.
I don't know what to tell you.
Oh my goodness. This is why we're not on Mars, though. Like, we could blame lots of people, but it's just that we're just not there yet as society. We just have a lot of these. I love you, though, Bubble.
Thanks.
Still loving.
You like the avatar? I made it myself.
I understand. I always get excited when there's a piece of 4chan in me, the only probably secular atheist liberal that was on there. So I see a Pepe, though it's a little bit edgy, but I'm sending love to you, Bubble. I understand the need to.
Thanks. No, pray.
And yes, anyone who'd like to, feel free. Though we only have limited, because this is a call-in show, so we're gonna swappa. Though if we finally get someone who disagrees with us, that'll also reset the whole roster, and we'll have some fun in the sun. So Sunflower, if you'd like to join, it's not a panel, but it is a call-in. And yes, so we still got 10 more minutes though, Beamsy.
Sunflower's here. Bring him in.
Sending so much love. I saw him somewhere. I was looking at the MDD
He's been
debate
fighting about the COVID bullshit.
All that stuff is so silly. Earliest writing Egypt about 3,400. Yep. And there's been chloroform to 5,000. Not Beamsy. Bubble, have you always been anti-evolution?
No, I was indoctrinated while I was in the public school system.
Do you know they have a word for that?
Indoctrination goes in there.
There's another word for that. It's called education.
Well, that's a bizarre way to relabel indoctrination.
It's not bizarre because it's not indoctrination. It's just education.
Well, the American school system certainly is indoctrination.
Because they taught you biology?
They certainly did not. They told me a fairy tale.
A fairy tale.
Every industrialized nation teaches evolution.
Let's think about this for a second. You believe in fairies. You told us a tale about fairies. Doesn't that...
just small angels, right?
Oh, yeah.
Small angels.
Just small angels. But I mean, how closer to the nose can you get to fairy tale?
Well, fairies were actually created. There's an actual explanation for that.
What's the explanation?
For evolution.
Don't say
there's
DNA.
A story.
You said DNA.
A story. Somebody made something up.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Okay, well, what's the explanation for fairies?
God made them.
Fairies? That's the explanation? It's just God?
Why not?
Because that's not an explanation.
Why is it not an explanation?
So, let's pretend that you come home to your wife and you say, hey, honey, I'm sorry, but I got in a car accident. And she's like, oh my God, are you okay? And you're like, I'm fine. And she's like, well, what caused it? And you say, God. Have you answered the question at all?
Yeah.
Did God?
Did God come? Maybe God got in a different car. Maybe sidelined him. Maybe
God's an asshole.
Maybe he just like scratched his neck. Maybe God whispered into his ear, "Hey, you're gay."
Can I come? Did
God whisper that to you, Bubble?
Let's keep on following that line. Does God whisper to you? He doesn't.
Maybe. I'm sure you hear him. I'm sure you hear him all the time.
God?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
I think that God is a fictional being that humans created. We are actually God's creator. God is actually contingent on us to exist.
That's crazy.
But okay, let's keep on going down that. Would you be okay
The evidence that we have.
if you go to the auto shop and they say, all right, we need to write something down. How did this happen? You say God. Have you answered their question?
I would follow. How did God do it? Did God sideline you, or did God maybe just tickle your ear or something?
Okay.
Maybe Jesus took the wheel and then wrecked the car.
But do you see how you're actually giving,
Jesus
maybe not Jesus, but you're actually having to go into what happened, not just the God part. So you're like, well,
if that
I mean, of course the God is there, but there has to be something else, right? There has to be a reason.
Well, if that's the reason,
Mechanism.
that's the reason.
What are the logistics of it?
At least, I mean, you have to say this person's lying.
Do you think that you now go to your insurance? You've gone through all this, and they have reason, and they're like, it has to be a good reason for why we're going to cover and give you the money.
Well, you would
back.
have to have evidence that God did it. Perhaps maybe you caught him on camera. Maybe you caught God on camera pulling the wheel, which is like.
There we go.
God did it. There you go.
We've gotten there. We've finally gotten there. So, like, once again, why did God make, like, how do you make a fairy?
Well, it is defined.
Also, is it sugar, spice, and everything nice? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What?
Well, first you start with the material. That being the chemical.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. What's a fairy made out of?
Who knows? I've never seen one.
You've never seen one? Why do you believe in them then?
Well, I believe in angels.
So? How does that connect at all?
Why would that stop me from believing in? Yeah, why would that stop me from believing in?
Where is the connection between angels? You're just like, I guess we could shrink them, and that'll be cool.
I guess so. I guess so. If we believe somebody can have wings, why can't we believe a midget can have wings?
It's not just a midget. It's not okay. I guess how big I should ask then. How big is a fairy? Are we talking like
I wouldn't know.
A few feet? Are we talking a few
How many can
inches?
dance on the head of a needle?
I'm thinking of foot.
How many can dance on the head of a pin?
Yeah. I'm thinking like the size of a cherubim.
Yeah, but how many can dance on the head of a pin?
Who knows?
Well, I'm asking you. Apparently, you know more about this than we do.
No, I'm not saying I do. You're just asking me what I believe.
How many do you believe can dance on the head of a pin?
I believe none of them can dance on the head of a pin.
Okay, there you go.
So they're inches?
None
maybe?
of them and
inches?
all of them.
No. Have you tried dancing on the head of a pin?
No, but I'm not a fairy.
Yeah. What a magic dust.
How would that stop you?
In fairness, at least one of us on this podcast is a fairy, but that's a different story.
A furry.
No.
A fairy. God, you a fairy, Amy.
No. I'll wear cat ears. I'll wear a Neko, but I'm not a fairy. I'll go to a fairy after party. Throw some. Oh, I'll wear the cat tail, not because it has anything to do with cats, but because of how far it goes up somewhere. What are we talking about anyway?
Gonna bring somebody in? I forgot who it was. I think Beamsy.
Yes, we're about
Definitely wants to come in.
Yeah, and so I think we've had our fill. Let's go, and then Sunflower. We're going to give Stephanie and Beamsy each 10 minutes, and then we're going to bring Sunflower. We're going to clear house and bring Sunflower in to chat with us. But let's do it. We are going to continue calling us skeptical, and evolution is a fact. And we're bringing in Stephanie. What's up, Stephanie? We are calling us skeptical, and evolution is a fact. We have an opposition viewpoint with us, calling us, which is Dark Bubbles, and we are talking. How are you? What are your thoughts?
I'm forever blowing bubbles, pretty bubbles in the air. Amy, I wore my Kent Hovind
Oh my!
Hawaiian shirt just for you this evening.
I
And
approve.
actually, I'm kind of pissed with you because you said when I was the first one in the green room, and you said, "Well, I think Stephanie's going to agree with me." You were wrong.
Technically speaking, no, it really was Bubbles and then you, but I was just saying that out loud because I assumed. But if it was the other way, you're right. It would have happened.
Assume makes an ass out of you and me.
That's true. But
as my gym teacher used to tell me and have me write on the goddamn board all the fucking time because I was lousy in gym class. You know. But now I kind of disagree. I agree and disagree. The topic was, since we have strayed far, far away from the question into questions of ontology, which is, it's like, just because there's a God, if there is a creator, doesn't mean the creator doesn't use a tool. And the tool in question would be evolution. Just because doesn't mean, is evolution a fact? It doesn't address the question. Okay. Now, I'm really not sure where Thorne stands here, because I don't know if he's a theist, atheist, whatever. I really don't know, but I think I think we've gone far, far away from the topic. And my point of disagreement with you is that it's not a fact. It is the best explanation for a constellation of facts that we have observed contemporaneously in nature, that we observe in the fossil record, that is documented by the geological column, the fossil column, the fact that we don't find a rabbit in the Cretaceous. That's kind of a thing that demonstrates that, as you said quite correctly, complexity, and I hesitate to use the terms complexity because life itself is very complex.
Sure.
And, any form of life is very complex because you're talking about a combination of how do we get cell walls? There are some theories about cell walls, and my earbuds are about to die. But if I could just
point out...
Go ahead, Amy. I can still hear you.
But I just want to point out that evolution is still, even though it is a theory, it is also still a fact. And so we can say...
I think perhaps you and I are on a quibble, on a quibble search.
Germs existing is a fact?
Yes. Do I think the germ theory of disease is a fact? No.
But you think that...
You see the distinction.
Sure. So you agree with
and that's the quibble. It's just...
Sure. But it's not a quibble. What you're saying is you agree with me, and I'm trying to figure this out. So I'm trying to say the theory of evolution is different from the fact that evolution is happening with biological life, just like the germ theory of disease is different from the fact
that my quibble is around the idea that sorry, I'm just trying to untangle shit right now.
But do you see how that is a contradiction?
I don't see the contradiction. Really.
You're saying that a theory over here.
I'm not saying I am not disputing that evolution is real. I am not saying that DNA is not real. I am not saying that what I am saying is that the description of speciation by natural selection can best be explained in terms of evolution, in terms that evolution does occur. Mutations do occur. To speak of beneficial or detrimental mutations doesn't mean, first of all, it means that you need to put a judgment on what mutation is beneficial and what mutation is detrimental. I don't believe that Thorn over here, Bubbles, whatever the hell. By the way, pleased to meet you, Prey.
You've met him many times, but that's okay.
Anywho, you're gonna have to tell me what's detrimental and what's beneficial. Do no mutations ever occur at all?
Nobody's saying mutations don't occur.
Great. That's super. That's good. What happens when a mutation occurs? What happens when a mutation occurs?
What's contested is that there
don't tell me what's contested. Answer my fucking question.
What's contested is
don't
never been
tell me what's contested. Answer my fucking question.
Wow, Amy.
Do mutations occur? What happens when a mutation occurs?
A mutation is an error. So what is contested is that there has been zero observable.
In what sense is a mutation an error?
Let me finish.
No, I won't let you finish because nobody in this room has held your fucking feet to the fire. What is an error as regards a mutation? You tell me what an error is.
An error is any mutation that
it is a failure of transcription. Is that what you're saying?
It's anything that compromises the genetic code. So what?
And in terms of compromising the genetic code, may I posit that the copying of biblical text, if somebody replaces an aleph with a meme, is that a mutation of biblical text? I'm trying to get a sense of what you mean by an error, because I don't see that. I really don't see how you can possibly say that this is an error as opposed to an accident. That accident results in a change to a biological form. Now, is that change positive or negative? That's a judgment call, but it's not that mutations don't happen. So you need to explain to me what the fuck you mean by an error.
Amy, please control your guess.
Oh, please, Amy, please control me. I still want to be controlled. I am the best bottom you'll ever find.
What is contested is that there has never been observed constructive mutations.
What do you mean by that? What would you consider a destructive mutation? Any mutation?
No, I said constructive.
But what would you consider a destructive mutation? Any mutation at all?
Any mutation that compromises the genome.
Are you disappointed with people with red hair?
Does that compromise the genome? No, right?
Of course it does. It's a change.
No, it doesn't.
It's a mutation. It's a mutation. It's a mutation. It is a mutation, is it not?
It is not a mutation.
Well, then
the only
red hair was always with us. Blue eyes were always with us.
Let me finish.
White skin was always with us, right?
Let me finish one sentence. For God's sake, let me finish one sentence.
Oh, gee, okay, go ahead. But you won't answer a sentence that actually can include an answer to the goddamn question.
Who am I debating here?
I don't fucking know.
Leophilius, is that you, Leophilius? Leophilius, I need you to calm down. Look,
go fuck yourself.
The only time we see
my name is Stephanie Helms. I have a fucking channel, buddy. You want to come over and debate me there?
Cool your jets. Cool your jets. The only time we ever seen people get close to red hair It's for a mutation called.
It was a mutation, right? Which was detrimental, right?
It was detrimental.
According to you.
Yes, it was detrimental. It gives them a.
It was? Yes, it was, really. It is really quite detrimental because along with the red hair, you get the fair skin and the freckles and all that stuff. And plus, which you start talking in a brogue.
Yes.
So I don't think you have a fundamental understanding of what evolution is.
Let me finish.
I don't think you have a fundamental understanding of what evolution is. You admit that mutations occur. You are determined to say they are all detrimental, and yet the mutation that caused 0.2% of the human population to have red hair is somehow not detrimental. Are you a ginger?
There's a difference between a ginger and somebody who has the disease that gives them that pale skin and ginger hair. Do you understand that?
Do you have pale skin?
No, I don't.
You don't? Are you how pale is your skin?
I'm not.
You're not?
No. Now let's get back to the question.
Well,
no, buddy. You're come on. Let's get back. What do you think the question is? The question is, in this colloquy here, the question is evolution real? I say that evolution is real in the sense that it's the best explanation of the diversity that we observe in the natural world at current and through the timeline and through the column. If you don't believe that, then tell me what is real. What is a better explanation? And now, Amy, I will shut up and I will fucking leave.
Thank you so very much, Stephanie, for coming on. Lovely having you on, as always. And keep on coming on. And with that, we are going to get Beamsy in for his last 10 minutes.
Wait, I think he wanted me to produce a reply.
She probably... I was actually going to give both of you like a minute to clear it up, but it seemed like she made it... It made it clear that she wanted to end at that. That was her final thing. I would have done either way.
Let me just do a quick reply. Yeah. That's a disease that causes the pale skin and ginger hair, but it is not the same as somebody who's born ginger. And so you can't just say, well, look, both Wervius have mutations, but evolution must be true. No, that doesn't follow.
And I just want to say that even though I felt like I got spicy myself, I love Stephanie and keep,
very rude.
It was great having you on, as always. Keep on coming on. Send so much love to her. But Beamsy, we are calling us skeptical on evolution is a fact. What are your thoughts about anything that we've been talking about tonight?
The only thing I've really got to point out first is you're incorrect in what you say a mutation is. It's not an error. It's just a variation within the gene code because there are multiple different ways that it can actually mutate.
No, the example he gave was an error. It caused a disease.
Who gave?
Stephanie gave a mutation that was an error because it caused a disease.
I thought you said something
else. Stop the misgendering, Bubba. We're not going to deal with that on here.
Well, what? I'm not allowed to talk? We're talking on the subject.
You're not allowed to misgender people like that.
Stephanie, that was
you used the he a couple times.
How am I supposed to? I barely met them.
You can tell that she presents as female. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
But you've also haven't you? I'm pretty sure that you and Stephanie have met before. You've come on the stream.
No, absolutely not. No,
absolutely not.
No, that person was extremely.
She's a female.
I think I would have remembered somebody that rude.
Please be polite.
Sending so much love. And is there anything specific else that you wanted to bring up, Beamsy?
One beneficial mutation that has actually been recognized quite recently is a paleoprotein Almino. It's a protein that actually has reduced the risks of heart disease in people who have actually got the mutation by up to 90%. And they're looking at actually synthetically creating it to be taken as medication.
Beamsy, I'm not looking for beneficial mutations. I'm asking for constructive mutations.
So beneficial is not constructive?
No, it doesn't follow that just because it's beneficial that it is constructive.
How do you come to that line of logic?
For example, let's say you're born in Africa and you get a mutation that gives you white skin and red hair. Now, that might give you a lot of mates and you might be able to reproduce with lots of women. While that might be beneficial, that is not constructive.
But how is not reducing the risk of heart disease not beneficial?
I'm not saying it's not beneficial. I'm saying it is not constructive.
But anything beneficial can be constructive. So therefore, that is a constructive thing to have within the gene.
No, it is a beneficial, I'll grant you that, but it is not constructive.
How is it not constructive?
Did it construct something? No, it didn't, right?
So you are looking for something that can actually change something's anatomy.
Well, make a new protein, for example, a virus going from making something from placental, from egg to placental, something like that.
The PCSK9 is a new protein. It's a brand new protein that's actually being produced due to a genetic mutation within the people who have it.
Wait, are you saying this mutation, this new protein evolved naturally, right?
Yes.
There's a new protein that just evolved and popped into existence, right? Is that what you're saying?
It didn't pop into existence. It was selected through natural selection to allow it to.
But it was for something that was not there and now is there, correct?
Yes.
Wow, I'm going to need some evidence for that. So you're saying it didn't have that gene, but it now does have this gene, correct?
It's actually something in humans. It's called the alpino protein almino. It's a new protein that has been recognized to reduce heart disease, and it is a protein. The genes that have actually been changing are of the PKS9 variants within the 9th chromosome.
So it was already there.
No, then why don't we all have it?
Wait, do you think I think all humans are related?
No, if it was already there, then it would already be in all humans. It wouldn't just be something that would be appearing.
Wait, no, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be in all humans. Where'd you get that from?
The aspect of the way the mutations and...
So you're just presupping evolution to make your argument, correct?
It's not a matter of presupping, because of the fact being that we would have had similar ancestry.
So you're presupping it.
What am I presupping? Because again,
evolution.
But again, I'm not referring it to evolution. The aspect is we would have had to have a common...
We would have to have? That sounds like a precept to me.
Well, we do it with dog breeds. They have to have a common ancestry. We do it with...
Do you seriously want to go there?
Not really, because I know how wrong you are in that.
How wrong am I? I think Mark Reid still owes me $1 million.
No, the aspect is you've never been able to provide any evidence for your position.
What's in question is evolution. I don't need to provide evidence for creation.
And I've just given you one protein that is in groups of humans within Australia that actually reduces heart disease that protein has not been recognized before. So
just because some humans have some proteins and some ERVs doesn't mean all humans must have that. Now, your argument might work if I was a Christian. If I was a Christian, I would totally accept your argument as legit evidence for evolution. That is a great argument if I was a Christian, but I'm not.
But you've also made the statement that your deity front-loaded all this information.
That's not me. That would be the Christians.
No, you made this claim on this stream not 25 minutes ago. You made the claim that when everything was created, everything was front-loaded. So therefore, under the claim that you made,
I have never said that.
would you like us to go back? Because it was about 26 minutes ago now.
I have not said that.
Yes, you did.
You can go
talking
back.
about how you...
You can go back and watch it again, but I have not said that. Now, Christians say that. I agree Christians say that. And that is very wrong and false.
This is starting to get down a rabbit hole of stupidity that I'm sure I don't want to go down, but where do all the...
Yeah, that's where it's at.
Beamsy,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but your arguments do not work against me. Now, your arguments would work against a Christian, but I'm not a Christian.
No, now that what you've just said, how would you explain the variations between people? Are you saying that more than one was created? Or...
Yeah. I do believe in races because race is genetic.
And do you have any evidence of that? Because I've never seen any genetic evidence of variation with race. All I've seen is we are one human race.
You like, wait, do you not see the difference between like, so when you look like, let's say you look at an African American and then some sort of Japanese, and so you don't see any differences at all?
I see variations in the same way that I see a difference between
So
a
there are
terrier
differences.
and a
So you
terrier
do-
and a hound.
So you do see differences, right?
But not in the way that you were presenting, because we're still all human.
Do you think those differences are genetic or not genetic?
They would be in genetic code, but not to the extent of making any real difference between them.
They are genetic, right?
Yes.
Good. Then you accept race.
No. Not in the way that the word of race is used. They're just cosmetic variations.
Cosmetic. Do you think this is just skin deep?
Basically,
No.
yeah.
No, it's genetically deep.
If you literally peeled the skin off of everyone, you would see very, very similar muscular fixtures on every single person. It doesn't matter where they come from.
No.
So it literally is just skin deep when it comes to variants like that.
Just skin deep. No, it is genetically deep. There's like changes. There's differences in bone density. Some people are more prone to be more muscular. Some people have red hair. Crazy.
I knew this was going down a stupid, but
Yeah.
Beamsy,
Outdated.
you have no evidence for evolution. That's a scientific fact. I'm sorry if you want to tell yourself a story, but it doesn't comport with reality.
We've used evolution to create all the bovidae out there. We've used evolution to actually domesticate animals. We've also used it very recently in the aspect of the silver foxes. If evolution doesn't work, then how are we able to use it?
Are you talking about those foxes with the floppy ears, correct? If I remember the experiment. They had floppy ears and curly tails.
No.
And then, guys, we're going to go for one more minute back and forth. I'll give you both a outro, and then we're going to clean house, and James and I are going to get back to our next caller, Sunflower. But if either one of you, Beamsy, I'll let him have the final say because we've been doing this. But Beamsy, if you would like to have a final say, calling us skeptical, evolution is a fact. What are your final thoughts?
Evolution has been presented as a fact because of the amount of information that has been compiled to prove it. There is more evidence out there for the way that evolution works than there is for atomic theory and the theory of gravity combined. It is the most robust and useful of any scientific field that is out there, and there is no way that you can counteract that with many of the claims you've made. It has no weight to it.
Thank you so very much, Beamsy. And all right.
Thanks for trying to inject some sanity into this discussion.
Just as soon as some of the claims he made, I could just see the rabbit hole of stupidity that I don't want to go into them, but I have to ask the question.
And all right,
No, it's a
sending
bad
so
idea,
much
but you
love.
just can't help it.
I completely understand that impulse, though. You're like, I'm going to
Beamsy,
throw
control
this.
yourself.
But sending so much love.
You do know how to bait us, if
well,
anything, Bubble.
It's throw it
Thank
us
you.
against the floor, or come join and have a fantastic conversation, which Beamsy did. Same with Stephanie
Your powers
and
of
Bubble.
trolling
Thank you.
Are decent.
But Bubble, we have been talking evolution as a fact, and what are your final thoughts?
Well, I think evolution is a very silly idea. The thought that animals can have self-assigned transgenderism through randomness is really silly. But believe what you will.
Thank you so very much, Bubble. Thank you so very much, Beamsy. It was lovely having you on, and keep on coming on.
Will do.
All right, about to get Sunflower on.
If you want. I mean, don't have to keep coming on, but if you feel like it.
Listen, we like our theist brothers and sisters. It is just, we're looking for either evidence or good, something that would be, I think, a legitimate hole in something that the biological model.
Legitimate hole, yeah.
Yes, sending so much love, and I feel like I understood what I'm just going to instead bring Sunflower. I sending so. Well, this is hopefully this is going to be. Well, I know. Well, I'm not going to preamble. Do. Let us. I'm trying to, because I'm now torn. Sending love to our admin. Sending love to the entire Skeptic and Ranting community. We're going to have, unless anyone else has a final topic on evolution subcategory creation, because that seems to be the people that are against us.
That's
this
true,
will be
Robert.
your last chance. Death by hugs. Death by snoo. And all right, let's have some fun in the sun. What's up, Tsunami? Sending so much love to everybody. We are calling us skeptical. Where what is up, Sunflower? We are talking evolution is a fact. And what are your thoughts?
What's up? Yes, thank you for letting me on. I've been listening to the discussion so far. I thought it was somewhat interesting. I'm really disappointed that Bubble sort of went out on a note like that. That I won't draw it out, but that's just uncalled for and nasty, and I don't personally approve of that whatsoever. Anyway. I just
want to add one more comment, because I don't use homophobic, transphobic, racist, or misogynist. I believe that a lot of people out there are those things, but very specifically, you're being an asshole. I think most people know when they if you pronoun wrong by accident and then you're corrected, the correct answer then is, oh, I'm sorry, and then to continue. But I think they generally know. But yes, let's continue.
He knows
onward.
what he's doing.
Don't be an asshole. Treat people as decent human beings as we would like to treat others. But yes, Sunflower.
Yeah, I agree. So, but on the topic of, I think Beamsy and I think a few other people were sort of saying something to the effect of oh yeah, this race thing. It's there's just some people have lighter skin. I mean, It's just a very, very superficial thing. And like what I want to say, I have to push back on that because science lends itself to racists and eugenicists, point blank, period. Let me read a comment. Now, there was a debate on Based Theory's channel about this, and I tried to argue the effect that, an atheistic approach to science on race and genetics is inherently going to lead to basically what I honestly think would be World War II level Nazi stuff, but don't take my word for it. There's a guy who left a comment, and I'll just read it. He says, "I know this was frustrating for the panel, but this is an important historical topic that consistently rears its ugly head, as, believe it or not, eugenicists still exist today. They even have a scientific journal called the Mankind Quarterly. There should be a room for a somber discussion on the fact that science has social impact. People think that means that the science isn't true or is just a social construct, but all it means is that science is an institution that influences politics and economics, and that the general public view with respect. The founding of evolutionary theory went hand in hand with the founding of the philosophy of eugenics, which was first proposed by Francis Galton in 1863 in his Hereditary Genius. Both Russell Wallace and Darwin gave Galton's book glowing reviews. The major schools of evolutionary thought going into the 1900s were academic descendants of Galton, including Carl Pearson and William Bateson. Every genetics textbook included chapters on eugenics. R.A. Fisher, in his famous 1930 book, quote, The Genetical Theory of Natural Selection, end quote, dedicated 5 chapters to eugenics. Both the UK and the US adopted eugenics as state policies, which led to the sterilization of tens of thousands of people, led by and recommended by geneticists. All
Did he cut out?
All of this is, we need ethics. This is what Sunflower is missing. He's commenting on me. We have an entire field dedicated to bioethics today due to things like eugenics. So basically, okay, so...
But what I would like to say is the fact that you can do horrible things with science and with types being able to manipulate genes doesn't mean that evolution isn't true. It means that humans can do horrible things.
And what if the truth
arbitrary things? They can take arbitrary traits and then
what if the truth lends itself to humans to kill everyone and cause destruction and misery and chaos and pain?
It sounds like a supervillain.
That's what is that? Do you live in the same reality as I do? Because I witnessed
a bunch of people who picked arbitrary. You cut out. I'm sorry, Sunflower.
Yeah.
But I witnessed a person during challenging a whole world and invading multiple countries, deciding to take living space for their own people based on just genetic qualities that they thought looked pretty.
It's still happening.
Okay, but that doesn't mean that humans there are more genetic diversity within supposed races than there are apart.
Tell that to the Nazis. They don't care. Again, these scientific caveats. These scientific caveats are not helpful to the people that are trying to legitimately wipe out entire communities
and we're pushing back against.
I think all humans are. So here's my defense. All humans are created in God's image. Full stop. That means every human life is has sanctity. It's you guys that are on the uphill battle of trying to smuggle in some kind of well, yeah, you guys have all this science, but don't be mean. Don't be mean to people. It's good luck with that. It doesn't work. It sucks, and it results in death and suffering. That's what I'm telling you.
That's the reality
of it. It's the truth, and you're just saying, I feel like God should exist.
Well, wait, what's the truth?
That evolution is both.
So what if the truth results in people turning into Nazi Germany level?
It doesn't have to result in that.
Well, it doesn't matter what it
Most
has to
people-
result in. What if it
Most
does?
people accept evolution are not
What
Nazis.
if it does
so-
result in that? Don't forget about
But most people who accept evolution are not Nazis. The fact that a few of them
what
do,
it has to.
I mean, they're creationist Nazis. It doesn't have to lead to Nazism or eugenics.
So imagine you were saying this before Hitler rose to power. Like, okay, there's some people out there that it's like, okay, well, the damn world near ended, James. The world damn near
Right.
ended. Yeah, and as
Okay.
technology gets more and more advanced, and we delve deeper and deeper into the very specifics, and people have less and less of a perception of any kind of sanctity of a human life. Yeah, I'm not very hopeful on that platform for
It
like
just
us all holding
sounds
hands.
like you're saying, if these facts are true, should we deny them? Like,
No, not deny them. It's
They're
not about denying
inconvenient.
them. Look, wait, I made a very specific point. Humans are created in God's image. Every human life is sacred.
but
Full stop. Every human life is sacred. Full stop. It does not matter what you differ in your ability, in your functionality. If you're disabled, if you're every human life is sacred. It's created in God's image. It deserves to be protected.
But since we
Period.
But since
That's
we
my
don't
position.
agree with that, can we come up with a framework that
Yeah.
protects human life without having to make
doubt it.
assumptions about created in the
doubt
image
it.
of God?
No, I would say absolutely no.
can.
No, I know, no way, no way. And you guys, this is where you guys have to admit this is like a pipe dream on your own behalf, right? You can be the ones that believe in hard science and everything, but then to turn it around and think we're all going to hold hands, this is where you have egg on your face.
but
I'm
Sunflower,
sorry. This is
from
not
my perspective,
right.
you're saying God exists because I feel it, because we hold hands and kumbaya and everyone gets justice and he loves you and he wants to have a personal relationship with you. And then on our side, it's like, yeah, biological organisms exist. It's a fact of reality. Like,
So you're pointing to like
Wait, how is that a
religion
response to
was
what I
used
just
to-
said, though? Amy, wait. What you just said was just that you don't you think that my belief is stupid. But all I was saying is that your belief
based on
results.
feelings. I think your belief is based on
That doesn't
feelings.
mean- but that
like
wasn't my
kumbaya
point.
and peaceful and everyone gets justice
But
in
Amy,
the
my
end. He
point
loves
was
you
not. My point wasn't about which one is more rooted in like science versus feelings.
Ours
My
is.
point. No, I know, but my point was not that mine is more like that. That I wasn't trying to say like, oh, actually, the God belief is more rooted in science. That was not the point.
Sure,
The
but
point
our
was,
position is your position is in feelings, and our position isn't.
well, no, I know. I'm agreeing with you to an extent, but I'm saying without the caveat that there is a sanctity to a human life. I'm saying that the hard science view is can be catastrophic. So I have to point out your response there was a non sequitur. I was not saying that I have the more scientific standpoint and you're basing your view on feelings. That's not what I was saying. That's not what I was saying at all.
But
But I
you
was
were
saying that
kind of
yes.
saying that because of the coldness, we can't find a kumbaya happiness in all of that. And I was saying you
Yes.
start with the kumbaya happiness. We
Right.
start with the facts and actually try and find happiness.
So
That is the
what?
difference.
Humanity's always started with some kind of kumbaya. Like we've evolved to start with a kumbaya. You're the one that's trying to rip it away from us.
Yes, a false positive. We have always
you're ripping it away from us and then just superimposing science like
We had
this
no
will
knowledge
work.
about
Because-
anything.
Well, wait, but we
This is why we aren't on Mars.
evolving with beliefs that you don't like. Regardless, we still evolved with them. So you're the one trying to rip it out of us.
We evolved with false positives. We evolved with my cat wants to go out.
I don't think they're. Well, first of all, I don't think they're false positives.
It's like
I don't think they're
Sunflower,
false.
it's like-
I
it's
don't
like
agree
things
with
that
you.
Did your
I know,
parents
you're
ever?
a
Did your
theist.
parents ever tell you things when you were a child that actually turned out not to be true, but maybe they kind of had like a moral to it? And
No, not
when you're
not
a
that we're
child,
central to human civilization. No.
But it's an
That's the
analogy
difference.
that
the
you
difference
didn't
here is
need
that-
you didn't need to believe those white lies that your parents told you when you were younger
Well,
to
this
to
is where you're
justify
wrong.
certain things.
No, you
Why?
can't make the tooth fairy. You cannot make the analogy of the tooth fairy to a general sense of a higher power. That does not work because, again, if you look at human civilization and you look at this thing that Amy said was like the kumbaya that was there originally, well, that has worked for all of time. It's the very modern idea that you're going to rip it out at the fucking forefront and then try and just cross your fingers and hope that you can superimpose science and think that that's going to give people a purpose to live. It does not work at all.
Because
it has been failing miserably.
We eventually have to shed these superstitious belief systems. We can't just say, well, our ancestors always believed the superstitious belief system. So,
I mean, it's like sunflower.
Specific
if you have kids.
No,
well,
you don't have to believe
if you have kids, when kids
go ahead.
When kids get to be a certain age, they start to see the logical, logistical. They start to question the Santa Claus hypothesis for presents under the tree. Okay, and the parents at some point have to realize that if they continue to reinforce that, if they continue to just make up more and more outlandish excuses and justifications and whatever, that maybe when you're 7 or 8 you'll buy, but when you're 10, 11, you don't. Okay. Right. They realize it's actually harmful to continue to reinforce those white lies. And you say, fine. Well, I mean, how are they going to behave if they don't think Santa Claus is watching them and they realize they're still going to get presents whether they do good in school or not?
Okay, James, I can respond to this perfectly. Yeah, there's a big difference here. So when you're talking about God, like in general, there is an incomprehensible aspect to anything existing at all. Okay, so that's the insurmountable hill that God kind of functions as, regardless of if you know, in certain instances it makes people feel good for like some sort of, you know, whatever reason. You could say like, oh well, they just, you know, this religion only like just makes them feel like that's how rain came down or whatever. Or the point is, no, there is an incomprehensible paradox to the existence of any matter existing and like, you know, causality and a linear timeline. That yes, humans will never be able to comprehend matter coming into existence and having a causal chain, you know, from nothing. So there's already a very sort of viable kind of imprint that God fits into, that also I think reconciles things like, you know, morality and you know, an afterlife and things like that. So it's not just a random tooth fairy. It's something that is actually also fixing an incomprehensible paradox. You can no human can tell me that they just are satisfied with like, oh yeah, infinite regress of causal chain. Like, no, I'm sorry, you can't comprehend that. No one can. So
I just want to ask a few things. Number one, just to ask from the last conversation, do you think that fairies are either ridiculous or on par with a god? Like,
I don't even know what the definition of fairies would be in this case.
We didn't really get a really great definition. Small angels, yeah.
Closest we got.
Imagine, like, instead of the family size of angels, you got like the, you know.
I don't really tend to dabble with like the in-betweens of God and the natural world. Like, there might be some kind of supernatural beings that exist in a sort of intermediary way. I don't have a, I'm like agnostic. I'm agnostic on the on
fairies.
On the intermediary kinds of beings. But yeah. So I just don't have a position on that really.
Well, that's fair, but yeah.
So I do want to point out two things that maybe we could just go over. You'll see if you have any thoughts of, because they were both one by James Wolfe and one by Pat, Send in Love. And evolution has no inherent political ideology in that it doesn't make you liberal, conservative, atheist, or theist. Maybe you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean that sounds good. In reality, I don't think it's really the case because, you know, I, at the end of the day, like the more like okay, so like if you look at an experiment that we found bacteria or gained the ability to metabolize this sugar that they couldn't previously, whatever, like all this stuff. Okay, so if like what does that prove? Well, all it proves is that an intelligent source set up an experiment in which you could observe something gaining function in an evolutionary sense. Why would I not just think that when I witness other things in life forms that there might be some other puppeteer that's beyond my dimensional understanding? That would be my natural like progression of thought, like because there's so many holes in the evolutionary story from the universal common ancestor to like humans to just shrug that off as like, oh no, we figured it out. It's like actually that's the most depressing thing ever because there's so much wonder to be had in the story of like the first instantiation of life to what we are now. To shrug it off and be like, oh, it's all right. I saw a theory that said it was all possible. It's like that's you're killing all this creativity and wonder you could have in like, well, how did it happen?
We're taking the magic away.
It's not that it's all possible. It is the explanation for the diversity of life.
But it's not even a complete theory. Like, you really think that it's like a complete theory that there was an initial, like a singular initial life form? That's not even. Why would that even be true?
To do with evolution. That is a different theory.
Evolution
happens wherever life is present. The moment life is present, evolution, like a force of nature, will happen.
But that is such a small portion of like the grand story. Like, why are you letting that disenchant you? No, because here's the problem: you're letting that make you feel disenchanted in your disenchanted. No, listen. In your disenchanted stupor that you've been in since you declared that the Abrahamic gods didn't allow for whatever like lifestyle you wanted to live. In that disenchanted stupor, you've actually sterilized yourself of all the natural wonder and openness and humility that would exist in the scientific method of exploration of like what actually. It's like all you're doing is you're using science to like prove theists are wrong. That's not that you. It's so sterile. Like, have more wonder. Have more like, oh, there could have been a million initial abiogenic life.
Do karaoke if you're looking.
Like what if abiogenesis happened a million times and they all kind of conformed in a weird way in the original primordials? See, it's like, but it's like the atheists go, well, no, sorry, the evidence doesn't say that. All we know is that.
I know that sucks.
You are shutting yourself off to so much wonder and so much just beauty.
I disagree. I don't understand what the wonder is. From my perspective, this is what theists are doing. They're like, hey, we don't know something. What if there was an us, but it was like a super us, and that super us just did it?
It could be an alien.
Did it.
Well, no.
Here's the thing, though.
Simulation theory is on the table now. Wait, what do you think about simulation theory? It's considered like more likely than not.
Yeah, we don't know. Wait,
those are three different things. But can I tell you why that's different? Why that's completely different?
That necessitates an intelligent. No, simulation theory necessitates essentially an intelligent life form. That that sort of enacted it all.
If we are in a simulation, then yes.
In a simulation,
that would be a sort of god in a sense.
That would be it wouldn't be a god. It would be a being.
It would be an intelligent being that, like,
it could be an intelligent being that has to go to the bathroom and then cries at weddings.
Who cares about that? But you're not actually considering
that. Let me tell you that that is very specific because that's what aliens would do.
So
that's what things in the simulation would do, and that's why your God is not like them.
well, fine. Then you could just concede that it was a super intelligent life form that, like, but like that thing would have just as much ability to give us like moral inclinations in an afterlife. Why
Could we be in a simulation? Yes. Could aliens have seeded life on Earth? Yes.
Yeah, but they could also set us up for an afterlife.
No, and does it show any of that for a God?
But wait, they could also set us up for an afterlife based on like moral decisions in our lifetime.
I mean, if we're in a simulation, then you can start all crazy shit. You can start just saying reincarnation's true because they just chop you up and they give you a different. We come back as frogs.
Are you? No.
Different NPCs.
That's not what anyone's saying.
We'd be all NPCs.
That's not what anyone's saying. The point is, like, are you denying an intelligent? No, because intelligent design is usually what atheists argue.
What do you think a simulation would be? Where we feel like we're going back in buckets.
Can you simultaneously believe in simulation theory and not believe in intelligent design? Because I think those are incompatible. You have to believe one or the other. You can't not believe.
If we're running on someone's hard drive, that would be a version of an intelligent being, but it would not be
intelligent design.
It would still be
the simulation could be just a random universe. It wouldn't
sure.
have to be.
But that doesn't make us.
What kind of cop out is that, James?
So just because The Sims is running on our computer doesn't mean that the world is not natural or physical and that it was made by a being.
You could run simulated universes.
No one's concerned with
properties just to see what happens.
No, we're concerned with our own lives and what happens after like we die, like our own lives. That's generally people who are concerned about. Right?
We're scared of the unknown.
You do control the Sims life. You do control the Sims. When you make a game of the Sims, you do control the fate of the Sims.
You're playing a game. First of all, unless you cheat, you're not going around and just doing things. You have to eat and have food. You do have relationships.
As we do. As we do.
Yes, and we're not supernatural. We're not gods. So the things that would be simulating us would not be gods.
Game can type in a cheat code at any point and do whatever they want with you.
Okay, because it's a video game. It's an
what we're talking about, a simulation. That's what the whole point is led up
to this. I understand, which would mean they're not supernatural, they're not a god.
But they're intelligent.
Yes, in that example, if we are a simulation, I don't think we are a simulation.
But like, if you, it's
different from a god.
To concede intelligent design as possible, and then say, but it can't be God. That just sounds like indignant, like rebellion. Like it can't. Okay, maybe there was an intelligent thing that made my world, but it can't be God. It can't be God. It's like, dude, like maybe it could be.
I'm not saying it can't be. I'm saying there's no evidence, at least good evidence, for a God. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Also, can I ask you a question? Could Christianity be true and you are stuck in a simulation, or you're in a simulation?
Could it be true and I'm stuck in a simulation?
Yes, as in Jesus died for your sins, but your conscious brain is actually hooked up to a matrix and you're in a simulation.
And Jesus is an NPC.
I think it's possible. Yeah, because I would just say that, like, I don't see why that's a problem. It could be possible, yeah.
How are we gonna check for a simulation then?
I'm not personally concerned.
I don't think it's falsifiable. It's not.
I don't actually personally care about whether it's a simulation or not. But I know that it's
falsifiable. So.
But it's a mainstream theory among non-theists. So that's why I was asking.
Sure.
It's conjecture, but if it's not falsifiable, it's of very little utility. It's mainly just a philosophical exercise.
And so is multiple universes and stuff, even if we find out that may be true. Right now, it's a hypothesis.
I mean, I'm not an expert, but I'm sure if you talk to like simulation theory experts, they would say it's falsifiable. I'm not, but like, I mean, it's obviously
perhaps in theory, but at this point, we're not able to falsify it or test it definitively. Otherwise, they would have done it, and we would know.
No, I think there was a way. I've read that there is a way to test it. Like in a very like abstract way, but I can't say that we just can't test it at all. I think I've read articles from like experts that say like actually there's like weird ways that you can go about at least like getting a hint or something.
Most of what I've read is just it's an interesting thing to think about. Like James was saying, there's really no way.
Yeah, I could be wrong. I think I've read that though.
I will say I'm sending love to everyone. This is our show. Call Us Skeptical is specifically a show where we're trying to have one-on-one. In our case, it is 2 with 1. But we sometimes, if the opposing, and we also give priority to people who disagree with us and more time and all that shtick, though we know that a lot of people that agree with us also want to talk with the people. So if Sunflower does feel like staying around, I will say there are people I think that do want to talk with you. I just will put that out there, Sunflower.
Yes, I'm always happy to talk to people. I can stay on for about 15 more minutes, and I'm happy to talk to anyone.
My time.
Yeah.
Oh, really? You only have 15? You're running out too, James? Okay, I also have to look. Your local trash can, do you agree with us? Are you with us? If so, maybe we'll start to bring on Ness for a final. You agree? Okay. Well, then I'm going to give you guys half the time, unfortunately, that I gave the last one, though we ourselves talked about half the time that we did. So that's okay. So we're going to bring in Ness and then your local trash can. You each get 5 minutes to have some fun in the sun. And then I think that's going to be our last call because James has to go to bed. I should go to bed so that I do a bunch of more fun.
Yeah, and by the way, Amy, thank you for, tolerating. I've been a little bit like aggressive but like I really appreciate you letting me like sort of spew my crap. And again, I can't say enough that about I really respect you and James and your channel and your show. So I thank you, and I really do respect you guys for.
We don't mind a little bit of spice as long as you're you've been you've been well behaved,
cordial.
I've been trying to do better, James, but I still have a lot to go. But I have been at least trying.
Nobody's perfect. We all have our struggles.
All right. And also send love, pseudonym. I see you were saying that you wanted to join, but we'll probably have open panels in the coming week. That'll be more advised. So feel free to...
if he wants to come on, we could just we gotta hurry.
Yeah, I'll talk to anybody.
All right, so there may be one more, but let's get Ness and your local trash can each for their 5 minutes. We're doing it. Going in.
Thanks, Ian.
3, 2. Oh, I also sending so much love, Ian. I have a super chat, but at this point, I feel like I should just save it because it's so special. I don't know if we should. Sending so much love. We're bringing in Ness and then your local trash can in 3, 2, fun. What's up, Ness? We are here talking to Sunflower on evolution as a fact. Hope you're having a good night. And what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm feeling also pretty tired right now because I also stayed up very late. But I saw the topic of evolution. And I was pretty interested in finding out what we were talking about. Although I think we have moved on to like simulation theory, but let's not. Yeah, it happened. But I don't know if Sunflower is interested in talking more about the evolution. Maybe if he has a problem with it. I don't know, but he has a problem with it.
I'll talk about anything. Lay it on me. No worries.
All right. So, like you mentioned that you had problems with the evolution theory. Like what problems did you have?
I have problems with evolution theory without the caveat that of what I believe in, of course, is the Christian concept of humans being created in God's image, essentially a sanctity of each individual human life, and each individual human life being worth protecting because it is essentially divine and created in God's image. I'm saying without that caveat, I think purely applying evolution can result in things like Nazi Germany and other kind of eugenics and horrible atrocities. That's my opinion.
Oh, right. That's a lot to unpack there. Like, first off, it's not incompatible to have religion and accept evolution. Like people, like I think most people who accept evolution are also Christians too. So there is no incompatible.
But they accept the caveat that humans are also created in God's image. That's the whole point.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying without that caveat, if you don't think
your problem is not evolution. Your problem is just the absence of Christianity. That's your problem.
Well, the absence of any kind of concept that human life, each individual human life, is sacred and worth protecting and is not expendable for or as a means to an end, which I think is inevitably what you will get to if you don't believe it is sacred and divine. Like, you will inevitably just use people as disposable, expendable means to an end, in the same way that like feudal kind of like, warlords did, just throwing bodies at the enemy with absolute disregard for their soul or anything like that. Just completely like human, meat puppets to wage wars and build stuff for you and whatnot. That's what I think you will get if you don't think there is a sanctity to the human soul. Yes.
I don't agree with that necessarily, although that's besides the point of evolution, right? Like, you would agree that this is not an issue that you have with evolution. Like, you can have evolution with religion.
So many holes in evolution, but there's also so many. This was my other point, right? It's like the idea that we have a perfect picture of a universal common ancestor, like the first life form ever, and that evolving into humans. The idea that this is like okay, yeah, that's how it happened. It's like, this is
now we are getting somewhere. Like, you don't accept that we have a common ancestor with other living things.
No, I don't. Absolutely not. No.
Why not?
Because it's not particularly compelling at all. You have no idea what happened in the abiogenic state of. Are you kidding? It's insane to just think that there's like a simple worldview. Like, okay, the idea that the best theory we have is in any way comparable to a theory that's more likely to have happened than not is insane. You can come up with the best theory you have. It can still be like nowhere near what the actual course of events that took place. You haven't you really think it's simple that we went from a freaking like primordial initial life form that we still don't even know what it was to a human with consciousness, and you're okay with just shrugging this off as like evolution? That is tragic. That's what that is. That is killing.
Who says I did? Who says I did? Who says I did that? Who says I did that?
You just said, why would you believe that there's a universal common ancestor at all? Why would you ever believe that?
Oh, there is a compelling evidence for that. But of course, there are, like as you said, as you pointed out, there are still areas where we still have many questions. But those are not incompatible.
To put it lightly,
you can accept one detail. Sorry, you are interrupting me, but I wasn't interrupting you.
You're putting it lightly. Like, there's more gaps than solid points to build a theory on.
What gaps in particular? Like, what?
This is the crazy thing about this, man. This is perfect proof. Look,
can you name an example where you find that you have an issue with? Like, one example.
How about prokaryotes to eukaryotes? There you go. Riddle me that one.
That's a very interesting thing that I have also
riddle me that one.
Are you familiar with endosymbiosis?
What's your theory on that?
How did it happen? Not my theory.
Of prokaryotes turning to eukaryotes. Go ahead, paint the picture.
Oh, just a general picture. Like, of course, there's a whole lot to go over, but just a general picture is that, the two main domains of prokaryotes are the archaea and bacteria. And what basically happened is that one bacteria, or maybe a few bacteria, became endosymbionts of the archaeal hosts, and that's how we got the mitochondria.
And you're totally confident.
Of course, there is a whole lot of details that I cannot go over on top of my head. I can send you a few. I can send you a few papers if you want to review.
What do you mean? I've read the papers.
And guys, you have another minute, and then I'm going to give Ness an outro and switch out your local trash can, and then I'm going to give both of them your final outros. But Ness?
Yeah.
Okay. Ness and Sunflower, right back to you for another minute or so.
Yeah, Ness, what you're missing is that the best theory could still be a horrible theory, right? The best guess you have does not, just because it's the best guess you have doesn't mean that it's more likely than not of what happened. You might have no freaking idea. There might be variables that you will never understand. The idea that you can just
of course, like we are not infallible, of course.
No, it's not about being infallible. Look, there's a difference between saying like we don't technically know who shot JFK and saying like, oh, this is how prokaryotes might have gone into eukaryotes. We have no idea. We have theories of like viable means.
It's now pretty well established that endosymbiosis was a main component of
no, we have no idea.
Of
You're wrong. We have no idea.
No, it's pretty much well established in the scientific community.
You're wrong.
Yes,
you're absolutely
wrong. It is.
No, you have no idea what you're talking about. We have theories of how it could have happened. We have no idea how it actually did happen, like at all. We will never have access to that ever.
Do you think it's controversial to say that the mitochondria is an endosymbiont of bacteria? Do you think it's controversial in science?
Turn to eukaryotes. Period. Full stop.
Like you're not answering my questions. Do you think it's controversial among science? Like you're interrupting my question.
It happened.
You're interrupting my question. Do you think it's controversial in sunflower? Like I'm trying to have a conversation, but you're interrupting me. So
because
I will ask again.
Too blind to realize what you're talking about.
I will ask again. Do you think it's controversial among scientists that the mitochondria is an endosymbiont of bacteria? Among scientists, do you think it's controversial among the biologists, for us to be specific?
I don't even understand your question, honestly.
Among biologists, do you think they largely agree upon the fact that the mitochondria in eukaryotes are endosymbionts, like they are captured bacteria that became endosymbionts?
No, I don't think that's. No, I think they do agree on that. That has nothing to do with what I'm talking about.
That's a very big component of the origins of eukaryotes.
This is where you're missing things. When you actually go back, how many millions of years ago was it?
The estimates I've seen is
we don't even try to figure out what actually happened.
You asked a question, I'm trying to answer. So please don't interrupt me. I'm not. I am. Like you asked me how long it was.
Your best guess is not necessarily a guess that's more than.
I'm giving you an estimate that I've seen in a few papers. Like that.
No,
those are
what I just said.
1.5 billion to 2 billion years ago.
Okay, listen to what I just said. The best guess of scientists, even when it's consensus, is not necessarily a more than 50% chance of how it actually happened. Do you understand what I mean by that?
How do you quantify the more than 50%?
Right. So
how did you quantify that?
No, I'm not. I'm not even. I'm saying it's not
so
necessarily.
You're just making it up then.
Not necessarily. I'm not quantifying it.
So you're just making that number up then? Like how did you make the estimate?
It's more than 50% likely how it's happened.
I'm not like you. You're the one who is claiming it is. Like,
No, I'm saying
it
it's not
isn't.
necessarily. Dude, you think that we actually have like you think that we actually have a perfect idea of what happened?
No.
in the
I
initiation of
don't
life?
think we are infallible. Like, there's no such thing as
We
perfect in
test theories that
science.
could have been what it is, not that actually were. This isn't like fucking like, you know, like a game of Clue where it was like fucking Colonel Mustard with the candlestick in the fucking library, and you go back and you go, oh, we were right. We got it exactly right. All you're doing is testing, like, is this even a possible chain of events? You're not testing what actually happened. This is why you're so lost, because you have no idea what you're talking about on this topic at all.
Ness, you actually get the final. You actually get the final word, because then we're going to bring in your local trash can, and then after all, the sunflower will have the very last word. But Ness, your final word right now.
Well, it's pretty frustrating to have even in this short conversation. I was interrupted a few times. He asked me several questions. I tried to answer him. I tried to inform him about the endosymbiosis, and also I gave him some estimates of some papers. Like, again, if you want, I can give you a few papers if you want that shows this information. But in any case,
no, I have a
I'm trying to give this to you, and you accuse me of not knowing the subject. And even though, on what basis do you say that? I have no idea.
No, you are missing the forest for the trees. That's what you're doing.
Like be specific. Like what am I missing?
Right. So
why are you claiming that I don't know the subject?
I'll tell you. You just asked the same question twice. Do you realize that? Okay, so I'll tell you now. So when you try to draw a conclusion, like, we can trace back certain things, of course. Like, we can look at certain things and then see more primordial things and draw conclusions. It's not even the goal, right, of biochemistry to say this is more likely than not what happened in the primordial soup a billion years ago. You create potentially possible pathways, because that's what we're trying to figure out. How could it even have been possible in general? You're not actually saying this is how it happened. You're not painting a hard historical line. We're trying to figure out how even could it have happened. That's what we're doing, and yeah, there's been progress in that, but it's nowhere near like, and this is exactly how it happened. This was the chain of event. Like, no one's even like, that's outside of the realm of what we have the capability to do, and you somehow missed that. You like, yes, I understand we can trace back various
mitochondria to bacteria, and we have of course there are details that are still being worked out, but roughly speaking, we know that mitochondria are descendant from bacteria as endosymbionts.
No, you're still missing something. We don't have a telescope like the James Webb. We can't just look back in time to how life
we can view the bacteria, or we can view the mitochondria right now and see the evidence of that.
No, there could have been tons of random stuff you will never have access to seeing that happened in between. You have no idea what happened at all. Like, what are you talking about?
We know, for one thing, we know that the mitochondria are endosymbionts.
How many life forms lived and died that didn't make it through from the instantiation of life to now that we have no trace of?
Over 99%.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. If we had that information, it might help us paint a little more of the story, right? But you're saying no.
More. We could know more, but there are things we already know right now. There are things that we already know right now, and one of them is
it doesn't matter. I'm not denying that. I'm saying you don't have anywhere near the whole story. It's called
sure. If your argument is we will never know the full, complete, 100% perfect, infallible story,
we don't even
then
know
no.
any of it. What are you talking about?
Hold on. Now you're switching again. I gave you one detail that we have worked out, and now you are denying we don't know anything.
You don't know
that's
the
wrong.
mechanism.
We know a few things. We know a few things.
And then
You're
Ness,
lost.
you have to say a final statement, but it can't be a question.
Oh, sorry. I will do my final statement without asking questions. Like, again, in science, there is never a point where we are finished. That is true. There is never a point where we know everything for an absolute certainty, because we are infallible human beings. We cannot know anything for an absolute, unless you're talking about like mathematics, maybe. But when it comes to empirical facts about life and the universe and such, then we will never reach a point where we can say, okay, we're done, we're finished. But that doesn't preclude the fact that we know a few things with pretty high certainty. And regarding the origins of eukaryotes, the endosymbiosis between bacteria and archaea to produce, for example, the mitochondria. The mitochondria specifically is descended from, I think it's, if I remember correctly, the specific group of bacteria the mitochondria descended from is the alpha proteobacteria. But you can look it up for yourself. And that's I'm finished for that.
Woo-hoo. Thank you so very much, Ness, for coming on. And we called a skeptical evolution as a fact, and keep on coming on.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
What's up, your local trash can? Unless we have another creationist come on, you are going to be the last guest that joins us tonight. We have been calling us skeptical on evolution is a fact. How are you, and what are your thoughts?
I'm doing well, thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to give props to all three of you. Sunflower for, going against multiple people and still staying calm, at least the best that he can. James and Amy for being amazing. Thank you very much. As for evolution, I technically agree. It's like, it is a fact. However, what I'd like to distinguish right now is that abiogenesis, or origin of life, is different than evolution. While, sure, origin of life has used a good amount of things from evolution, origin of life is much more than just biology. It has other things happening at the same time between astrophysics and chemistry, both of which I'm not very good at, but I'm somewhat comfortable discussing the, let's say, the more heard arguments against and for evolution. And the first point that I'd like to bring up is that DNA is not computer code. Like, they're extremely different. First of all, the obvious one being computers are binary, while DNA is base 4, and even that base 4 is then coded into codons, which are triplets. And for each codon, you get your own, I believe it's called peptide, and ribozyme just kind of puts them all together into a protein. So, like, that analogy can never work. The second thing, Sunflower actually brought up a really interesting point earlier, and it was the one for evolution being the cause for, things like racism or, Hitler's views, or et cetera, et cetera. First of all, I'd like to say science corrects science. That's the whole point of peer review. So this is specifically to you, Sunflower. Have you ever heard of Piltdown Man? Sunflower.
Yes. Discuss Sunflower.
Sunflower there?
We may have lost him.
Oh, I see it in the chat in BRB 2 minutes. Yeah.
If you listen to Ken Hovind for more than 5 minutes, you've heard of Piltdown Man.
Okay, yeah, true.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry, what was the question?
Welcome back. Have you ever heard of Piltdown Man?
No.
Okay. Piltdown Man was a supposed fossil that was found, and it was a hoax. And people at the time, at least like the amateur paleontologist at the time who discovered it, believed that it was, the main transition between like African and British men. And it was, this massive thing in the papers. But then the dentists came around. They were like, yo, these wear patterns are shit. Like, they're not good at all. This is a fake. A couple weeks later, turns out it was a fake. Who would have thought? One of the dating methods used was fluorine dating. And it showed that, the two sections of, the jaw, where it was one of most interest, and the one on top of the skull, they had, different amounts of fluorine in them. And that's how they knew it was a fake. And this, like, ever since then, this taught us a great thing for science. And that is, science needs more peer review, first of all. And second, it brought eyes on the racism in science at the time. That's why we nowadays have more peer reviewers working on the same research paper. You never hear of a research paper being published in the same day. It always goes between multiple institutions, and of these institutions, multiple scientists in them regarding the field itself. That's, at the very least, that's my points to you.
Good point. You know what? That actually reminds me of the time I brought up the recently discovered potential harms of aspartame, and Sumami and Titan Uranus, both in chat, continue to double down on how I was wrong. And then thankfully, Beamsy and Sinister Porpoise vindicated me. And thankfully, we were able to, serve justice to these two people that had it out against me and refused to accept that I was presenting facts and just wanted to continue to say I was either wrong or bringing up, irrelevant stuff. Shame on you, Sumami. Shame on you, Titan. You guys are bad faith actors. Thank you.
I don't know. I wouldn't call them bad faith actors. They just have a disagreement.
Was it like how bad was it?
I'm not sure what was going on in chat.
They were abjectly proven wrong, and now they'll probably continue. Look in chat. Look in chat. No, you're still wrong. Like, Sumami is an amateur. Why is she a mod? She might not even have a middle school education.
We're sending love to Sumami, who we love, and we're going to come back to evolution.
Why is Sumami a mod? She has a middle school education at best. She's very amateur. Amateur hour.
To say that you
amateur
don't like
hour at the Apollo.
People from.
All right, back to evolution.
Go back to evolution. In fact, this is. I will say. Are you trying to say you don't like? I don't know. Rural people. Setting so much love.
Look at Titan. You were wrong. You are wrong. No, I wasn't wrong. I got vindicated. Look at these whining babies in chat, dude. Look at this baby. Titan Uranus is crying. You just fucked yourself out of every side chat I catch you in. Look at this. Look at this. Dude, what is he? Exhibit A, dude. This guy is unhinged.
Before we go into the side chat wars. So I'm actually going to. We're sending love to our admin and our mods and our entire.
Dude, don't let a loose cannon be a mod. That guy is crazy.
He's unhinged, dude. We're going to let Trash Can have his final point, and then Sunflower, because you have been going along with us, we'll let you have the final word before James and I guess, close out the ship. But Trash Can, back to you. I would prefer neither of you ask questions, more statements. but it's actually been a fun back and forth. Trash Can, what's your final statement? Evolution is a fact?
I agree. Evolution is a fact. But I'd like to also preface that by saying it doesn't have to exclude anything else. You can have, both the religion that you like and evolution. And separating science and religion is like one of the most important things that I tell everyone that aspires to be a religious scientist, so to speak. But I would like to also bring up something else from earlier in this live stream. The other person, I don't remember their name. They had a picture of Emma Thorne.
They are Bubbles. That's who they're going to be credited to when I give thanks to the guests. So,
all right, thank you.
Bubble Universe.
Yeah. So Bubbles made a point about biodiversity and then started lumping people into different groups, like races or whatever. The whole idea behind races is, in biology, it does not exist. So one of the biggest things that we know to be true is that the darker pigments for the skin help the mothers, for example, to give childbirth to children who are healthy, because UV radiation actually hurts the children that are like embryos. But what happened to the lighter skinned people? Well, they just happen to be up north or down south, vary, because where the radiation doesn't hit as much. I'm sorry, what was that?
Less direct sunlight from the north.
I'm sorry. Oh.
Less direct sunlight.
I'm sorry, I don't know what that is.
Okay.
I'm sorry. In any case, the less light that hits your skin, you will not be producing vitamin D, especially that vitamin D is extremely vital for a human survival. The lighter skin actually absorbs more UV radiation, making it easier to produce vitamin D in harsher environments where there's no sun. So the whole point about having different races based on biology, thanks to genetic variation, it's garbage. It's been disproven multiple times. There is simply no other way to put it.
It's basically skin deep. It doesn't go further.
Yeah, that doesn't stop Nazis, unfortunately. I mean, yeah, I can agree with you, but
well, people are going to twist science and twist things, and that's inevitable.
Well, it's true.
Well,
the
they're
important
not really
part is to
twisting
call
it,
people
they're
out.
just applying it. What do you mean twist?
Well,
they're twisting
the idea was that
yeah. You know what the Nazis also did? You know how much fidelity they had to this code. So they wanted to sign a treaty with the Japanese. So they sent their scientists over there, and gee golly, guess what? They said, "Oh no, they're Aryan too." Really? That's how objectively scientific they were. It was all nonsense.
Well, I agree. You can. Well, yeah. I mean, you can twist the data, but there has to be underlying data or facts to be twisted, right? They're not just closing their eyes.
That's the thing.
Also, I would be remiss if I didn't ask this. I think it was Pat who brought this up. But what do you think about the fact that Chris Godwin's law, that at least publicly, the SS were promoting Christianity, and he was saying he was doing the Lord's work and all that? That seems to be almost like because of the religion he was promoting. Any
point? What do you no? Flatly no. Anyone can co-opt and bastardize anything and use it as a weapon. Genesis 1:27. Genesis 1:27, and God created. Paraphrasing, God created them in His own image. Point blank. Period. Human beings are divine. They are, there's sanctity in every human life. That's the.
I promise. This is my last question.
First book of the Bible.
Could you say the same about evolution?
How?
That they're just, it's a fact, and then people misuse it.
Wait, what do you? I wasn't stating a fact. I was stating like essentially like a sort of a concept.
Are you saying they're twisting Christianity?
But Christianity isn't a scientific fact. I don't think.
Neither do I.
It's a belief system.
Right. Well, no, I've always
evolution's not a fact.
No. Actually, no. I've always said that there's a faith aspect of Christianity. I've never denied that. I'm saying if you have a dry and cold application of science, especially in the case of evolution, I'm saying that can get very ugly very quickly. That's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to.
Was used for Nazism. They used it to defend slavery.
No.
You can use religion for.
It's resulted in more good than bad. It's resulted in more charity and pacifism than it has resulted in, violence and harm.
And evolution will result in way more good,
better
medicines, better.
All right.
Well,
I highly doubt that.
It, but it's the future, Sunflower.
Well, okay.
It sounds like you're a
better
little
understanding of biology, better understanding of medicine, engineering.
We'll ask one more question.
Applies to.
I'm sorry, James.
No, eugenics has been present in like every society ever. Good luck.
All right, Sunflower. I have one last question
Not
for
for
you.
much longer.
Are you aware that, say, evolution, or strictly speaking, biology in itself, kind of already vindicates the idea that every human is equal to the other?
That's obviously not true. What are you talking?
Okay,
like,
why?
Do you think that, like, what if we discovered a missing link that we couldn't interbreed with, that was an intermediary between monkeys and humans?
We have. What are you talking about?
What? Really? What is it? What species is it?
Okay,
All
so
the homos. Meet the homos.
well, yeah, like there's
No, like I mean, like
all of the modern apes are just, or you mean like common ancestors?
You're saying the phrase "missing link" is why does that phrase exist?
It's an outdated terminology. They don't think about that in terms of like modern evolutionary theory. The concept of a missing link is outdated.
You really don't think that like there could be a thing that's very, very close to human, that's just like
undiscovered hominid, maybe.
Well,
but we don't point any.
I don't know.
What do you mean?
We don't have gaps that need to be filled. We have a pretty good understanding of.
You don't think like Aboriginal? You don't think like Aboriginal people in like New Zealand, like you don't think that racist people could like trace the DNA and genetics and be like, okay,
they have tried
and they found the common ancestor to us.
And how it you let me know how are Aboriginals on the Australian continent treated? Are they generally regarded as equals, or are they the victims of unbelievable inhumane racism?
By who?
By other humans. What do you mean? By other humans?
The fact that people are racist has nothing to do with evolution or biology.
Yes, it does.
Hold on.
That's everything to do with it. What are you talking about?
Speciation didn't even occur between the Aboriginals and any other human that we know.
They are
like
100% human.
Okay, yeah. Are you guys speaking out of both sides of your mouth here, or what?
I don't know what that means. I'm sorry.
Like, are you basically saying like because there's no extant like tribe that isn't sufficiently outside of the realm of breeding with humans? Just that's the only thing that's separating us from like being racist. Like, are you kidding? Like, that's your argument here?
Well,
no.
Well,
that's
like
not the argument.
Take
The
North
argument
Sentinel
was
Island, where they've been isolated for 30, 40,000 years. If that continues, they could actually speciate and become a subspecies of humans, but they would still be humans. Like, you can't outgrow your ancestry.
But that's my. So what? Why do you think people are more racist towards certain groups? Like, I'm again, do you think it's just
In-group,
random?
out-group,
Well,
tribalism.
due to false beliefs.
Yeah,
You
false
really
belief
think, like-
systems, different cultural
yeah,
differences.
So if we only understood, so like if you like, if you just introduced evolution to like the Dominican Republic and Jamaica, they would no longer like be racist against dark skin, and they would just be enlightened. And are you kidding? Like what?
I think people in those countries do have access to evolutionary theory.
Yeah. It means it does not. It makes them more racist, not less racist.
No.
Yes. Sorry to break it to you.
Again,
Well, sorry to break
yeah.
sunflower. Racism has existed long before the 40s when Charles Darwin wrote his book. Racism has always
Yeah, and guess
been
what?
around.
Technology
You're trying to say,
is, yeah, and we have nukes now, James. So racism
okay,
in the
but
1840s
racism
is
has
not
always
as
been
scary
a
as
thing.
it is
You're
now.
trying to say that it links to evolution, which is 60,
Yes.
80 years ago. No.
Now they're using technology to really map it all out.
But when
Yes,
we
they
point
are.
to
and
Godwin's
they're
law,
failing. They're failing.
No,
It's
they're not
working.
failing. They're
It's not
really
working
not
out
failing.
for them.
They're not
kooks,
failing.
They're bigots. They're in the minority. They're dying. They're going
Keep
out.
calling
it's
them
not
that.
working for them.
I hate them just as much as you, but they're growing in the
No, they're
you know,
not. No, they're
But
not.
Yeah.
but I don't understand why, if you're saying evolution makes them more racist in one thing, but then when they say it's for God, you're like, well, they're just
if
really
they don't say it's for God. No, that's
very
not.
specifically.
That
Like,
never
when
happened. No, that never happened.
I mean, if you read, it's quoted in Mein Kampf. He's saying that he is.
Right.
And
Yeah,
now,
here we go.
God
Yeah.
damn it! I should. There's the TOS gone.
Hitler.
After
Yeah, the Christian.
21. After all that,
Google it. Google what was Hitler a Christian? Google it.
and it'll say that publicly he was a Christian and secretly he was a pagan. But
Okay.
very
He
much
might have
he
had
was
a
not an
cult of
atheist.
pagan beliefs, but he
Like,
certainly integrated Christianity into his presentation.
And
What
that's
he
it's
privately
wrong
believed.
it's wrong to co-opt a belief for like your genocidal maniac view. Yeah, that's wrong. He did it,
Well,
but it's
then-
not.
Sure.
It's not.
But
It's
so-
Well, then
wrong.
why are we doing the same for evolution? I mean,
Exactly.
What do you mean?
the whole point is
More
that there
often than-
is the
more-
distinction.
Welcome,
In the
Pastel.
end, the more
often
the
than
more you look at
more
evolution,
often than not, more often. Listen. No, more often than not, people that embrace Christianity are charitable and peaceful and pacifistic. 100%. Yes, that's a fact.
What about?
Sorry to break it to you, but it's true.
What about a number one motivation for racism being religion, being tribalism?
How is-
Out group.
Wait, tribalism. Wait, tribalism is not necessarily religious. It exists outside of
No,
religion.
but one of the number one motivations for racism being religion.
I don't think it is.
Even though they quoted. See, I said I wouldn't ask, but they did quote it in the Confederate Constitution. Yeah, Christian, just right, a Christian occultist. Anyway, I said sunflower.
I'm sorry, Amy.
No, it's okay, Trash Can. It was lovely having you on.
It happens.
Sunflower, last word, and then James and I are going to just land the plane.
Yeah. Thanks for
I
having
think
me
that
on.
That plane crashed like an hour ago, Amy.
Yeah. But thanks for having me on.
Down.
I really do appreciate it. Just to reiterate, 100%, 110%. Forget everything else I said tonight. But if you do remember one thing, Tsunami and Uranus.
God damn it.
Tsunami and
Come on,
Come on.
Sunflower.
Listen, this is
Come
very
on.
important.
Oh my god, this is the
Tsunami and Titan Uranus.
I know you just
Tsunami and Titan Uranus were absolutely proven wrong by Sinister Porpoise and
boy.
Beamsy and other people in chat. They absolutely got proven wrong, not just
let
by
them
me,
debate
by
that.
everyone else.
Wasting your final word on that. I'm
It's
sending
just
love.
children. They are
Everybody,
amateur
our
children,
whole panel.
infantile children. They're refusing to admit they were wrong, and they are going after me in the chat. This is pathetic, and this is sad. Anyway, I do appreciate it, Amy and James. I was vindicated. Sumami and Hectorius got proven wrong, and they're coming after me personally. This is proven in the chat. This is now on record permanently. Thank you for having me on. Really appreciate it. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you for being here with us, Sunflower. Thank you for being with us, your local trash can. It was lovely, and keep on coming on.
Thank you very much. I hope you guys have a good night.
Thank you so much. You too, Trash Can. I hope you have a
Titan
lovely
had a
night.
response to the Sunflower in the chat, so everybody could read Titan Uranus's response to that.
It's just always a bit like trying to have a fight with chat while you're in voice when it's not like I understand if you have it like creationists come in and we talk to them back and forth, but it gets a little bit difficult. Nonetheless,
Titan will time me out, so I have to do it on voice.
But my last PSA is overall set. I'll double down on it. Is that please
double dog down?
Please pronoun people correctly, or else we've been very relaxed. But it's an asshole thing to do.
Our guests and
well, it's hard. It's harder to also do stuff live. I will say we're doing it live. And so you're always kind of reacting instead of being able to.
He did it a couple. The first 2 times that he did it, it was like, okay, maybe he's just. But once he keeps doing it, he's intentionally trying to.
But this is what you expect from creationists. This is the type of thing. And so sending love to our panel, even though I don't want to keep on taking shots or keep on bringing up stuff, but there is, I'm getting tired of the culture war that they create. We're talking about evolution because the creationists get triggered by evolution. And if we ever talk about trans people, it's because they get triggered by trans. Something hurt them. And so they now need to, that does seem, in my opinion, to be the number one thing. When you go for what are attacks on people's character, no matter if it was the whatever call, try to attack the viewpoint. Anyway,
it happens. So we interact a lot with chat. It happens.
Yes. Well, I mean, first of all, you always have an advantage when you have a mic. That's why I always try and bring the creationists on to the show. But then, if you're having a conversation. Trying to have a conversation that's like a separate thing. We like bringing the chat in to have a conversation. That's why I like showing comments. That's why I like bringing it in. But then when we show it, it's almost like it's supposed to be now. Everyone is. It's like not separating, but bringing.
Fight Club. Maybe it's just me being contrarian in a way. I just feel like that is such an overrated movie.
I like Fight Club, but I understand why you're saying it's overrated as well.
It tried to be way more deeper, profound than it was, and to me, it just really swung and missed. It really didn't mean all that much to me.
The few not secrets. What's the spoilers? Whatever. Also, they were like, oh wow, at the time. Ooh.
Maybe James. It was an overrated movie. Too bad for Edward Norton because he is a good actor and so is Brad Pitt.
1984, not an underrated book or not a. It deserves the hype. I stand by that. Sending so much love, James Wolfe.
I can
just
admit
wanted to hurt something beautiful, James. That guy was cute.
What is that like? What is that like? Where like, what was it? You used to hear they would say like, oh, my kids, like they look at a puppy and they say, I want to hurt it, and it's like, huh, what? Who thinks like that? And they're like, no, it's a thing. Some people have that urge to hurt something that's beautiful. I don't know.
Guess you get that age, and you get a little bit angry. I don't have.
Oh boy, James. Okay, you have your fun with like it is what it is. Operation whatever that chaos or whatever it was. I don't know.
And send in love, Stephanie. Because I don't know. Because I take I take people misgendering me all the time. I guess I should. Maybe we should be a little bit harder when it's because I do have a rule that I take it, but then if you're my friend, I guess we really shouldn't. But I don't know. I expect the type of assholery from the creationists. That is kind of their thing. Their book
because usually when they're doing it to you, it's because they're trying to obfuscate. They're trying to distract or get away from a topic. You're asking for evidence for God. And they want to talk about what is a woman. And you're like, no. I'm not letting you off. You're not switching to these identity politics.
And when they do that, I generally go, yeah, let's talk about a woman. Does a woman come from a man's rib? Let's talk about it. And I will say that I have two sayings, which is woohoo and sending love. I almost say that as a dating processing thing. So I do end up sending love to everybody, even people that are more extreme than the examples tonight. Oh, I'm not trying to say you need my help. I'm trying to say, did I do something wrong?
That's right.
I'm trying to evaluate myself. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to say, I hope I didn't do you wrong. Huh?
Hello, Mr.
Because that's right. Moonlight says hi. He's getting some nom-noms. What's up, Mark Reid? Woo! Everyone should be checking out Mark Reid Atheism. Because I just try and line a fine line. Because we want people to say on here, even sometimes vile and disgusting things, because they actually think it. And hopefully they're getting it out of their system. But I don't want people to treat people like shit. I don't want our guests to be treated like shit on here. My friends, our family here. And so if I did, I apologize for that. We are trying to figure out, where those lines are, especially when it's not just James and myself.
We know, Stephanie. It's not just you. We're trying to uphold decency. It's the principle that
all that and some. Sending so much love, Mark Reid, and then we have. I'll be honest. We have one. We should have sent this so long ago, and then I was like, I meant to make a mental picture of it, from almost the beginning of the show, sending so much love. Native Atheist sent $10 in, sending thanks Amy and friends. Thank you so much, Native Atheist, for all the love.
Keep coming in. Oh, thank you guys so
sending
much.
So much love. 2 scoops I see of Disciple, but I also want to send love to Mark Sevely, sending love. Woo-hoo. I also haven't been doing dances, so just have to be doing
Shake
dances.
It, Amy. Do it. Shake it.
Also sending cat love.
Oh, from Moonlight. Hi, Moonlight.
Moonlight says hi. Yeah, he's like, okay, that's enough.
Boy. Yeah.
He's a good boy. He's a good boy.
He's like, okay.
We are sending so much love, Mark.
You're a great disciple.
And, of course, sending so much love. Hope I always treat you with love and respect. You always do. If I ever fall short, please call me out. Sending so much love. I can't help it. Have a good night. Sending love. I see Sven in chat. So many amazing people. Daryl Frost. Just I am sending love to everybody. Trying to think of anything else, James, that we need to house clean on.
Remind everybody about our debate.
Should be checking out our debate. It is already up on Standing for Truth's channel. We are going to be having a 2-for-1, just like we were doing tonight, except it's going to be against Ken Hoven. And
Dr. Dick.
Let's think what else. So much spice, I see. But I'll send out the Fiver. That's when we know that everything is starting to wrap up. Wrap up and winding down.
Thanks for joining us.
That's right. We are debating Kent Hoven. That's right. Doing the Hoven hustle. Go check out
with an
Atheist Junior who just debated. Yes, and he just debated him. Go check out both of those. Go check out his thing. Go check out that on the after show on Atheist Junior's channel. Go check out Mark Reid just had a debate with Ember on MDD. Go check out that. I'm trying to think what else.
Kicking the flat Earth butt.
Go check out The Line. Go check out all the great atheists. I'm gonna be streaming in a few hours, unfortunately. Fortunately, because I actually love that stream. Go check out Randolph Richardson's stream. We are going to be having some fun on the Theist Helpline. That's right. Sending love to Jimmy and Matt and Arden. Sending love to the ACA. Sending love to Uncle Ben out there. Sending love to... I just said Uncle Ben. I just combined them. That's how tired my brain is. Sending love to Uncle Beck and Dr. Ben.
There's not even Uncle
Lovely
Ben's
people.
Anymore,
Yeah. Trying to think what else. Anyone else to shout out? T-Jump. There's probably people out there that I should be sending out love. But yes. Well, I think with that. Oh, Fiver. The Fiver. I sent it out there. That's right. If you would like to get your podcast created by someone who has lizard DNA, technically we all have lizard DNA, if you think about it, because of how evolution works. But lizard DNA from Gizlorp, then go check out this. We're on X as well. I want you to know that sounds kind of sexual. Check out my videos on X. It finally killed Twitter. We're on there, though, sending love to Twitter. As I cough. And what else? I think that's it. With that, I hope that you all had a fun time on this episode of Call Us Skeptical. Evolution is a fact. It is. Common ancestry is. I don't know what to tell you. You could still be religious. But, yeah. Anyway, where we very specifically opened up the internet phone lines to ask why evolution is a fact for a good time worth evolving into. However, I want to thank my co-host, James W., along with our call-in guest tonight. And I say, Peter, how am I not going to thank? I got Peter in the back of my head, R and Ra, all these lovely people.
Ding, ding,
I know.
ding.
Literally, Pavlov's dog, James. Ding, ding. Along with our guest, our fantastic panel, Bubbles, Stephanie, Beamsy, Sunflower, Ness, and Trash Can. Woo! Did Ness actually get on? No. Send love, yes.
Yes.
Oh, so yes, he did. We got him in. He was shared the 2 5-minute, which ended up being an actual good. Just making sure. But also, thank you to the people in chat, our awesome mods who make the stream so great. And of course, our lovely viewers like you who make this channel even possible. Please also don't forget to like on YouTube's, follow on the Twitchospheres, the twitch.tv/Amy Newman Skeptic. Once Peter gets in your head, he never leaves. That's right. Hey, why not share? She's a great singer, but also share the video especially if you're in the debate community and getting the conversation started, but also hitting that subscribe button and then hitting that bell icon to all. You gain access to join our live streams or to see our premieres. It'll give you reminders. Or hey, why not? This is getting. Or hey, why not leave a comment once the video is done? That line though.
That's right.
Pavlov's.
Schrodinger's cat.
After the show, the Skeptic and Ranting Discord server is opening up. That's right. The link of which is in the description below. I'll send it out there too. We'll do more Discord stuff. I feel like in the future, I am just going to wake up and I'm just going to start doing more impromptu debate use because I'm getting tired of arguing with people in Discord when I could be recording it. What was I getting a link for? Discord. Might as well just go live. I'll invite you for each and every one, James. But I feel like we should just get more productivity through that instead of me just wasting it. Anyway, Skeptic and Ranting Discord, right there.
You did miss Gizmo earlier. He is retired for the night. Yeah.
Yes, taking a cat nap. Lastly, there are many ways to help support us. Thank you to all of our super chatters. I want to send a double thank you to Native Atheist, Disciple Day, and Mark Sebley for sending all the love out there. Please send lots of love to our channel members. You can join by hitting that button, and it helps us create even more content. And you also get our evolving badge system. Sending so much love also to Robert out there, as well as the best way to help us is by checking out our Patreon at patreon.com/Amy Newman. I'm Amy Newman, and we will see you all on the next episode of Skeptic Ball Z. Good night, everyone. Mwah.
Good night, guys.